Chapter 57 Chapter 57 Killing Tian Wuji. Chapter 57 Killing Tian Wuji. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Li Lingtian. It's junior brother Li. Li Lingtian's still alive. I've been waiting for you for a long time now. Prepare to die. Everyone stopped in their tracks at that very moment and diverted their attention to Divine Dragon Palace's gate. The dozen-odd warrior kings from Tianjin Empire and the Southern Empire bolted forward. Li Lingtian had at least 30 million spiritual stones on him. If they killed him, they would be able to get their hands on 30 million spiritual stones. Moreover, they needed to gain a one-up on Li Lingtian after he extorted and humiliated them. Great, I'll let you kill me, Li Lingtian shouted back. However, fear soon crippled all the warriors while the dozen-odd warrior kings withdrew in dismay. 4th Tier Level 4 Multicolored Beast. F** King Hell, it's a 4th Tier Demonic Beast. He has a 4th Tier Demonic Beast as his mount. How are we supposed to fight him? A 4th Tier Level 4 Demonic Beast is equivalent to a Tier 4 Warrior Ascendant. Won't we be looking for our death wish? Everybody was caught off guard. How were they supposed to fight against a mount that was a 4th Tier Level 4 Demonic Beast? The 4th Tier Pseudo-Dragon Beast that they killed earlier was only of 4th Tier Level 2, and it was only killed due to the lack of time to revolt after being encaged in a treasure. This multicolored beast here was not the earlier Pseudo-Dragon Beast. No matter how great a warrior king was, they would still be knocking on death's door. Tian Wuji and Qing Heezi remained tight-lipped. They were proud of obtaining a 3rd Tier Level 7 Demonic Beast as their mount at first, but with Li Lingtian's 4th Tier Level 4 Demonic Beast, their 3rd Tier Demonic Beasts paled in comparison. Li Lingtian sat on top of the 15-foot-tall multicolored beast with natural poise. Although his face spoke of calmness, his eyes were cold and stark as he turned to look at Tian Wuji. Tian Wuji, Yan Ming, and you lot, come at me together. You may rest here eternally if you miss out on this opportunity. Li Lingtian was aware of what was going on from the situation between Tianjin Empire and Sky Dragon Empire. These people were releasing their anger on Sky Dragon Empire. He could have come out 10 days ago, but the discovery of various valuable medicinal supplies delayed much of his time. Whoa! There was a huge clamor for the fact that this one person wanted to challenge the warrior kings altogether. If 9 warrior kings teamed up, even a warrior ascendant would be wary. This Li Lingtian had gotten way in over his head. However, Li Lingtian's cultivation level had reached Tier 7 warrior spirit state. He was only at Tier 5 when he entered Divine Dragon Palace, yet he was now at Tier 7. The speed of his cultivation was beyond anything. Nevertheless, he was still only a Tier 7 warrior spirit. He could not possibly match up to the joint forces of 9 warrior kings. Sky Dragon Empire's warriors were worried stiff as they were up against other empires, not just a sect within their own empire. Motherf ***, how are we supposed to fight you with your 4th Tier Demonic Beast? Qing Heezi cursed out loud. As a warrior of 10,000 demons sect, he very well knew of the disparity in strength between demonic beasts. More so, the 3rd Tier Level 7 Demonic Beast that he was mounted on was trembling. There was no way they could proceed to battle. Don't you have any sense of shame? Don't you know how to get yourself a 4th Tier Demonic Beast? You need the capability to subdue a 4th Tier Demonic Beast, so this is Junior Brother Li's ability. Weren't you guys very arrogant back then? What warrior king are you? I think you fed your cultivation to the dogs. The warriors from Sky Dragon Empire started to curse. Just when they were a step from being vaporized by Tianjin Empire, the high and mighty Li Lingtian had brought along a 4th Tier Demonic Beast, which gave them an extra sense of security. If you're not going to fight, I'll make a start, Li Lingtian replied faintly. It was an opportunity he could not miss out on. Once they left this place, there would not be another chance to kill these geniuses. Having said that, the multicolored beast he was mounted on pounced at Tian Wuji, giving Li Lingtian the opening to fling the flaming divine fist in his hand. The atmosphere was suddenly overwhelmed with flaming qi. Much more terrifying fourth-tier demonic beasts' demonic energy and repression than weighed down on Tian Wuji. Heavenly Tomb handprint. Deep down, Tian Wuji was petrified, because no matter how confident, he was not delusional to go against a warrior ascendant-class demonic beast. Upon circulating his body of true qi, Tian Wuji unleashed an onyx-tier moderate skill, Heavenly Tomb handprint, and slammed it towards Li Lingtian. Bam! The flaming divine fist and Heavenly Tomb handprint copyright vanished simultaneously after canceling each other out. The multicolored beast's humongous paw viciously clawed towards Tian Wuji, tearing the dimension with a vicious force. Switcheroo initiate. Wham! Roar! Tian Wuji's mount was clawed to death, while the owner disappeared without a trace. Ice Vitality Divine Fist, 300-mile frost. Li Lingtian was taken by surprise that this imperial prince had many cards and treasures up his sleeve. This switcheroo was an incantation that aided his escape. With the release of the Ice Vitality Divine Fist, the chilling true qi in Li Lingtian's body turned a vicinity of 200 yards into a glacier. Everything within this glacier was under his control. Break! A punch was pulled at a spot inside the glacier. The speed was faster than the naked eye. Astounding flame! Following a violent scream within the glacier, an earth-shattering flame suddenly pressed forth onto Li Lingtian before it came into blows with the Ice Vitality Divine Fist in the blink of an eye. Clang! The glacier shattered to pieces while the Ice Vitality Divine Fist disappeared. The flame was also cancelled out. However, Tian Wuji's eyes were filled with terror as he had turned into an ice sculpture. Sky-domineering body penetrate. Sky-domineering fist die. At an outcry, Tian Wuji smashed the ice sculpture apart. Many warrior king powerhouses were struck with awe by the release of such astounding aggressiveness from his body. After all, this second prince was valiant, and they had underestimated him. A fist that was 30 feet in size fell onto Li Lingtian at an incredible speed. In an instant, it was hung above Li Lingtian's head. Heaven and earth conflagration. Thousand shadows of fluttering flowers. An astounding flaming qi spread out in a burst, forming a flaming square of a 50-yard radius around Li Lingtian while the purple-green sword was swung. Swish, 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 swish. Poof! Ah! Although the huge fist was warded off by the hundreds of blade aura and glare, its force residue was still headed towards Li Lingtian. However, as it approached the flames, the force residue evaporated to nothingness in the flames. Just like that, Tian Wuji was completely immersed in the flames. The heaven and earth conflagration was an earth-tier inferior skill with a crippling drive. Compared to the sky-domineering fist, an onyx-tier superior skill, it packed quite a punch. You are up next. Li Lingtian watched as Tian Wuji dissolved to nothingness. As a storage sack fell off the flames, Li Lingtian extended his arm out for it to land on his hand. He darted a cold stare at the other warrior kings. Heaven falls, earth rends. With that, a fist was slammed down on the ground. Suddenly, the earth began to quake as if it was about to shatter. 8 warrior kings appeared within Li Lingtian's attack range. Greatest Een Fist. Drifting Metal Clang. Flaming Metal Shield. Earth's Weight. FL2. At this point, the 8 warrior kings unleashed their strongest defense. As long as they were able to fend against Li Lingtian's move, they could join forces to annihilate him. This young man had proved to be a terrifying existence, and they would not be able to manage if he were to develop with time. Wham! Bam! Just then, the Silver Palace swiftly disappeared out of sight in destruction. The entire Hidden Dragon Isle was trembling at the rate that was more intense than Li Lingtian's Heaven Falls earth rends. Countless cracks appeared midair while gales descended in wreaking havoc. There was also a terrifying suction force coming from these cracks. Boom! Boom! It was at this moment that Li Lingtian ceased his motion. He was a little disappointed as he could have killed these warrior kings given another 10 seconds. However, it seemed his plans had come to a screeching halt. With his powerful defense resisting against the gales, Li Lingtian bolted to the sky. At the trigger of his divine mindfulness, Xiao Bai and the multicolored beast were brought into the divine dragon ring. Meanwhile, all the warriors on Hidden Dragon Isle were sucked into the cracks in the sky. Chapter 58 Chapter 58 Spiritual Master Tian Shao. Chapter 58 Spiritual Master Tian Shao. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Beyond the borderless sea, roaring thunder and lightning veiled the sky with an overcast. The Hidden Dragon Isle is about to open, they should be out any minute. I wonder what they would gain this time. The next time will be a century later. They only have this one chance. The elders who were waiting on their sect's disciples by the borderless sea looked to the sky with expectant eyes. The development of their sect in the next century rested on the shoulders of these disciples. Only in Hidden Dragon Isle would there be valuable medicinal supplies to refine pills. Without medicinal supplies there would not be any pills. Of course, this would eventually lead to the fall of a sect. With the Milky Way ring, Wuji must have harvested the most. Spiritual Master Tian Shao was beaming with confidence. Although there were powerful super sects in Tianjin Empire, these sects were no more stronger than the imperial family. He was a Tier 3 warrior ascendant powerhouse. Tian Wuji was a rare genius in the imperial family, reaching Tier 2 warrior king state before he hit 30. In possession of some of the most omnipotent skills and treasures, he was undefeatable amongst his Tier 5 warrior king peers. How Tianming and the rest must have found the great Yin fruit. A warrior ascendant from Northern Yin religion of Northern Dusk Empire faintly replied. His pitch-black apparel and hood added a veil of mystery over the man. Swish, swish. Soon, black dots emerged in the sky. As these black dots gradually became clear, it was evident that these were warriors who entered Hidden Dragon Isle. Countless warriors scattered around like loose dandelions, and many of the unsuspecting warriors fell into the sea. Look for your own disciples. I'm heading off to greet the disciples from Sky Dragon Empire. Having said that, Tian he departed in a flash and shot up to the sky. A loud bang then ensued, attracting the attention of the warriors from Sky Dragon Empire. As Li Lingtian moved from Hidden Dragon Isle to the rift, he sensed an overwhelming pressure. However, this pressure passed in the blink of an eye before a strong breeze propelled him to land in high velocity. Surprised by the rapid descent, Li Lingtian immediately adjusted his motion skill. After taking a clear look at a direction, he flew towards Bai Yan's group. Elder! Upon drawing close to Bai Yan, Li Lingtian saluted with respect and stood erected behind the 4 elders. It's great to have you back. Bai Yan and the lot were satisfied to find Li Lingtian returning in one piece. Such a talented disciple was Sky Cloud Sect's future pillar of hope. The sect would suffer a great loss should he perish. However, their faces changed when they realized Li Lingtian's cultivation level. Their dropped jaws were wide enough to stuff an egg in them. Your cultivation level. You broke through to warrior spirit. Tier 7 warrior spirit. How could it be? You were only a Tier 9 warrior when you went in. How did you jump to Tier 7 warrior spirit state? The 4 elders gasped. Although they kept their voices to a minimum, other Sky Dragon Empire's warriors overheard. The few warrior king elders, in particular, were taken aback. These warriors from Sky Dragon Empire were bewildered even though they were unaware of Li Lingtian's full story in Hidden Dragon Isle. In mere 6 months, Li Lingtian managed to advance past warrior state and skyrocketed 8 subtiers. There were no words to describe such talent. "I merely got lucky," Li Lingtian smiled. It was only the warrior spirit state. With the heaven and earth reincarnation in hands, his cultivation may breeze through in the beginning, but it would not be that easy later on. On the other side, Tianjin Empire's spiritual master Tian Shao was growing upset due to the absence of Tian Wuji. No one was more clear than him of Tian Wuji's cultivation level and ability. Although Tian Wuji was only a Tier 2 warrior king, the treasures and mastered skills he possessed deemed him a champion amongst the disciples that ventured to Hidden Dragon Isle. It was impossible that anyone could defeat him. However, while many of the warriors had made it back, there were only a handful who belonged to Tianjin Empire's imperial family. The majority were out of sight. Third uncle Wuji was killed. A Tier 9 warrior spirit approached spiritual master Tian Shao and muttered fearfully. It was impossible to cover up the truth, as the imperial family would eventually get to the bottom of it. All of them would be in trouble if they tried to hide the truth anyway. Thus, the best decision was to come forth. Wuji was killed? Who did it? Spiritual master Tian Zhao's expression hardened. The imperial family arranged for Tian Wuji to enter Hidden Dragon Isle in search of a few valuable ingredients. Without these resources, the imperial family's dominion would come to a halt. With these materials, it would raise the bar in Tianjin Empire's ability within a year. With that, the empire could then reign over Eastern Spirit Greenland. He was killed by Sky Dragon Empire's Li Lingtian. Tian Su pointed at Li Lingtian, who was at Sky Dragon Empire's section. He quivered at the sight of Li Lingtian. For a warrior spirit to kill Tian Wuji, Li Lingtian's ability sent chills down his spine. It was then Tian he landed. Countless surviving warriors of Sky Dragon Empire came together and waited for the time to depart in unison. This place was dangerous, after all. "Boy, you're a Tier 7 warrior spirit." Noticing Li Lingtian's cultivation level, Tian he was in shock. Regardless of how powerful a warrior spirit, they were no threat to him, a warrior ascendant. Nevertheless, the velocity that Li Lingtian was cultivating was over the top. At this rate, achieving warrior ascendant or warrior emperor state was not impossible in a few years. It was only sheer luck. Li Lingtian credited it to luck. There was no such thing as a fluke when it came to advancing in cultivation. Moreover, even if it was a fluke, it could not have happened more than once. How could he break through 8 subtiers by chance? Everyone was rendered speechless, but more so amazed by this young man. This young man was only 16. For him to reach a Tier 7 warrior spirit state by the age of 16, the sky was the limit in his future. The rift in the sky disappeared 10 minutes later. Those who should have returned had returned, while those who had not, had clearly perished. There were 10,000 warriors who went in, but less than 2,000 made it back. This time, Sky Dragon Empire managed to retain close to 300 warriors. These were better numbers than previous journeys. Many were overjoyed over their disciples' find in treasures and medicinal supplies, while others were upset over the death of their genius disciples and unavailability of treasures and medicinal supplies. "Let's go, we should head back. It's been half a year now, it's time to return and take a break." Tian he cried. Tian he was the strongest and possessed the highest cultivation in all of Sky Dragon Empire, so naturally, he was the leader. Bai Yen and the rest had no comment. They were over the moon because out of 200 disciples that went in, 107 came back. Of course they were happy to see the handful of geniuses making a safe return as well. Misty Pavilion's celestial fairy Qing Ling and Bai Ling had a blank look on their faces, but everyone could sense that they were in a good mood. As for Radiant Sect, Their elder was not in good spirits due to the absence of their geniuses. Meanwhile, Sky Dragon Empire's airship and swift boat took flight and were on course to Sky Dragon Empire when they were stopped. Tian Shao, what's the meaning of this? Are you trying to wage war between two empires? For a moment, Sky Dragon Empire's 400 warriors were agitated. Dozen odd powerful qi originating from Tianjin Empire were in their way. 7 warrior ascendants, 11 warrior kings, and countless warrior spirits besieged them. Even other sects of Tianjin Empire banded together. Just these warrior ascendants alone were enough to vaporize every one of them. If they were to really make a move, all of Sky Dragon Empire would perish here. Whether two empires wage war would depend on you. Ignoring other warriors, spiritual master Tian Shao darted a sharp gaze at Li Lingtian. He was unable to wrap his head around the fact that a Tier 7 warrior spirit disciple killed Tian Wuji, a warrior king. Tian Shao, it's the Tianjin Empire who is in our way. You started this and in front of everybody too. What nerve! Tian he was unaware of the matter surrounding Tian Wuji, neither did he know about Li Lingtian killing Tian Wuji. Otherwise, he would not say so. Hand him over and you can all leave with your lives spared, or else everyone from Sky Dragon Empire has to remain here. Tian Zhao's face was distorted by anger. Tian Wuji was a prince of the Tian imperial family and was killed in the party led by him. Who knew what punishment would await him during his return? He is a disciple of our Sky Dragon Empire. Why should we hand him over to you? He has nothing to do with you. Tian he summoned the courage to reply. His heart was pounding. Something must have happened that he was not aware about. Otherwise, Tianjin Empire would not pick a fight in front of other empires. The 4 elders including Bai Yen dreaded seeing Tian Shao picking on Li Lingtian. Only the warriors from Hidden Dragon Isle knew what had happened between Li Lingtian and Tian Wuji. He committed a grave crime by killing Tianjin Empire's second prince, Tian Wuji. Surging his body of qi, spiritual master Tian Shao answered in fury. With war on the verge of breaking out, warriors from the other 2 empires and mysterious superclans circled around to watch the bustle. Chapter 59 Chapter 59 Powerful Multicolored Beast. Chapter 59 Powerful Multicolored Beast. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Tian Wuji was killed by a warrior spirit. No way. Tian Wuji is a warrior king supermaster. Many warriors gasped at spiritual master Tian Zhao's words. These were the warriors who never made it to Divine Dragon Palace. Otherwise, they would be trembling in fear rather than taken by surprise. It doesn't matter even if you don't take my word for it. Li Lingtian is indeed a Tier 7 warrior spirit, and a Tier 7 warrior spirit killed Tian Wuji. The battle was incredible. Both of them unleashed a horrifying skill that even I, a Tier 3 warrior king, would not be able to manage, let alone you, who is a warrior spirit. A Tier 5 warrior king would not be able to handle the force coming from Sky Domineering Fist, but alas, he was up against Lingtian, this crazy bastard. I think Li Lingtian unleashed the heaven and earth conflagration. For a moment, the warriors who witnessed the battle between Li Lingtian and Tian Wuji recalled the earlier battle. They shivered at the thought of it. If it were not for Hidden Dragon Isle reopening the teleportation portal, the few warrior kings would also be eliminated. A Tier 7 warrior spirit destroyed Tian Wuji, a Tier 2 peak warrior king, and challenged 8 warrior kings. Nobody was immune to this terrifying ability. What? Boy, you killed Tian Wuji? Tian He, Bai Yen, and the rest were dumbfounded. They were clear on Tian Wuji's identity and ability, as he proved to the strongest existence to enter Hidden Dragon Isle this time. It never crossed their minds that Li Lingtian would kill him. It was hard for them to believe such a thing. He's only a mere warrior king. You're telling me that anyone who perishes in Hidden Dragon Isle will be avenged by those on the outside? Li Lingtian walked up the swift boat and faced Spiritual Master Tian Shao head-on. The Tier 4 warrior ascendant was releasing powerful vigor that despite his great ability, Li Lingtian could still feel the suppression. There was no escaping now that an elder came knocking on his door for killing Tian Wuji. He might as well stand up and face it. These words caught many warrior kings and warrior ascendants off guard. There was a rule in Eastern Spirit Greenland that stipulated anyone killed in an area like Hidden Dragon Isle could not be taken vengeance for on the outside. Although such was the rule, many on the outside would get even in secret. No one would brazenly retaliate in the open. Now that Tianjin Empire's prince was killed, the situation was getting out of hand. Avenge? You're not worthy. But you should hand over the prince's storage sack or else I'll terminate you even if it's in the name of revenge. Sky Dragon Empire will also be involved because of you. Spiritual Master Tian Shao was gobsmacked. It never occurred to him that a warrior spirit disciple had such gut. Any other warrior spirits would tremble before a warrior ascendant. The close to 2,000 warriors gathered here were all the forces of Eastern Spirit Greenland. If the word were to get out, Tianjin Empire may suffer the attack from other forces despite its omnipotence. Although Tian Wuji was killed, he was willing to take a step back and asked only for Tian Wuji's storage sack. He could then find a chance in the future to eliminate Li Lingtian for the sake of saving his face. Do you think I'll give in that easily? Tian Wuji was rubbish and useless to get himself killed in Divine Dragon Palace. Now you want me to hand over the storage sack? Why can't I come across such a convenient thing? Li Lingtian replied with a smile. His indifference and calmness surprised many warriors and commanded admiration. Li Lingtian spoke frankly to a warrior ascendant. He may not know what was inside Tian Wuji's storage sack, but Tian Shao must be dreaming to think he would give up an item that was already in his possession. Die! Spiritual Master Tian Shao was fuming. He gave an inch to Li Lingtian, yet he refuted him in the face in front of everybody. How dare a warrior spirit disciple defy a warrior ascendant? In a fit of rage, the warrior ascendant's repression viciously slammed onto Sky Cloud Sek's swift boat. The astounding repression overwhelmed the atmosphere with an intensity that could be cut through with a knife. The expression of countless super geniuses and warrior king elders stiffened due to Tian Zhao's repression. A Tier 5 warrior ascendant was indeed powerful. Tian Zhao's heavenly destruction technique, cultivated to the 8th layer, is definitely potent. Anyone under a Tier 5 warrior ascendant is no match for him. A few masters who were familiar with Tian Shao were caught by surprise. They had an inkling of Sky Cloud Sect disciples' fate against this Tier 5 warrior ascendant. Even if Sky Cloud Sect's leader was present, he would not be able to defeat Tian Shao. Roar! All of Sky Cloud Sect geniuses, as well as Bai Yan's group, were horrified. Out of helplessness, they circulated their skills to ward off Tian Zhao's repression. As these disciples were the geniuses of Sky Cloud Sect, they did not want them to wound up dead. Just then, a violent growl was heard. A thundering demonic energy towered the sky and came to blows with the repression. Bam! Sizzle, sizzle! The dimension contorted following a loud explosion. Tian Shao lost his footing, prompting him to swiftly retreat 10 yards. His face was black and blue. Sky Cloud Sect's swift boat took in quite a stir as it propelled several yards back. Nevertheless, there was no harm done. The most powerful person on Sky Cloud Sect's swift boat was only a warrior king elder. When they turned their gaze to Sky Cloud Sect's swift boat, they caught a glimpse of a valiant multicolored beast erecting with might. Its huge pair of eyes were fixated on Tian Shao while its body rubbed lovingly against Li Lingtian. A 4th-tier multicolored beast. He's treating a 4th-tier multicolored beast as a pet. It's no wonder Tian Wuji was killed. With a fourth-tier multicolored beast, who stands to be his match. Elders of every force stared at the multicolored beast. A fourth-tier level 4 demonic beast was comparable to a tier 4 warrior ascendant, as the demonic beast was naturally strong and could hold its own against a tier 5 warrior ascendant. Tian Wuji was killed by this multicolored beast. Misty Pavilion's celestial fairy Qing Ling asked Zhou Qingqing in a gentle voice. She was not convinced that Li Lingtian killed Tian Wuji in the beginning, but took their words for it at the sight of a fourth-tier demonic beast. No, Tian Wuji was destroyed by Li Lingtian. The skills they unleashed were at least an onyx tier. In the final leg, Li Lingtian released an earth-tier inferior heaven and earth conflagration and thousand shadows of fluttering flowers, while Tian Wuji unleashed the sky-domineering fist. Zhou Qingqing gave the lowdown on the battle between Li Lingtian and Tian Wuji. It crossed her mind that if it were not for Li Lingtian, every warrior of Sky Dragon Empire would have been slaughtered. How omnipotent for a tier 7 warrior spirit! With an emotion stirring in Celestial Fairy Bai Ling, she took a few glances at Li Lingtian. Nobody could take their eyes away from the multicolored beast beside Li Lingtian, including spiritual master Tian Shao. The first collision between a human and a beast proved them to be equally matched. This was going to be a battle worth watching. Fine, fine. So you have help from this vile animal. I'll vaporize all of you today. Spiritual master Tian Shao was up in arms. With his attack fended off by a demonic beast, he had accomplished nothing yet somehow lost face, putting him in a tight spot. Will you die if you don't speak? Are you just making noise there to make yourself known? I feel embarrassed for you, Li Lingtian coldly blurted. His words stirred a commotion. For Li Lingtian to insult a warrior ascendant point blank, this young man really had balls. It was quite a bizarre atmosphere. Tian he looked at Li Lingtian with curious eyes. He had some understanding of this young man. Li Lingtian may seem reckless the last time, but he still managed to fool a warrior ascendant like him. Surely Li Lingtian was not wet behind the ears. Chapter 60 The Single Move Engagement. Chapter 60 The Single Move Engagement. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. D*eminent. Rendered speechless, spiritual master Tian Shao was on the warpath. As violent chi over his body soared skyward, he was one step away from going berserk and tearing Li Lingtian apart. Are all warrior ascendants like this? Sigh, piece of trash. Maintaining an indifferent demeanor, Li Lingtian continued to insult Tian Shao. He was not afraid of him as long as the other warrior ascendants of Tianjin Empire stayed out of it. Tian Shao, you're a clan elder of Tianjin Empire. There's no need to set yourself against a disciple. Don't tell me you wish for Sky Dragon Empire and Tianjin Empire to be at war? Tian he cried out loud. As a warrior of Sky Dragon Empire, he had to say something against a Sky Cloud sect disciple being suppressed. Moreover, this Li Lingtian was growing on him, so it was only natural to lend a hand. Fine, I'll let him off the hook on the grounds that he survives my single move and hand over the storage sack. Tian Shao noticed many super powerhouses looking at him with disdain. Tianjin Empire must not end up the talk of the town in a negative light. However, it was imperative to retrieve Tian Wuji's storage sack. There was no chance that the warrior spirit disciple would survive his single move anyway. For a moment, Sky Dragon Empire's warriors were cursing under their breaths. It was impossible for a Tier 7 warrior spirit to sustain a move by a Tier 5 warrior ascendant copyright. He was just masquerading the act of killing Li Lingtian with fancy words. Sky Cloud sect disciples and Tian, he were about to refute when Li Lingtian spoke up. He really had quite a wicked sense of humor. Great, make your move. Relax, I won't allow it to help me. Look at you, so pitiful, Li Lingtian faintly replied with the same indifferent attitude. Li Lingtian was itching to give the true dragon body barrier a go. He could survive on the account that he remained cautious. Whoa. It caused a huge uproar among the warriors to see Li Lingtian tooting his horn up to this point. No warrior ascendant on site could tackle a Tier 5 warrior ascendant's single move, let alone a Tier 7 warrior spirit disciple. He had opted not to use the multicolored beast as well. Li Lingtian was definitely going straight to hell. D*eminent, D*eminent. I'll let you go if you can handle my one move. Hand over the storage sack. Spiritual Master Tian Shao was on the verge of running amok as his tolerance ran out before this young man. He would lose his mind at the rate he was going. Heavenly Destruction Technique, Gale Cloud Palm. In a flash, Tian Shao leaped back 100 yards, suspending himself in the air. Keeping an eagle eye on Li Lingtian, Tian Shao circulated his body of true vitality excessively in an attempt to finish Li Lingtian in one move. Paying no mind to Tian Shao, Li Lingtian's body plunged downwards as he circulated the breeze technique to descend on the surface. He was not a warrior ascendant and could not take to the air. Hence, he had to take the blow on the ground. For a moment, tension was building up in the air as close to 2,000 warriors watched Li Lingtian and Tian Shao from afar while the 4 warrior kings of Sky Cloud sect turned pale in the face. Elder, the ice and fire ring is on Li Lingtian. I was incompetent. A Tier 9 warrior spirit disciple whispered. His face showed fear when his eyes turned to Li Lingtian. It's not your fault. His ability puts him above a person you can deal with. I will have someone above to deal with the ice and fire ring matter. Stealing a glance at Li Lingtian, a warrior king in black muttered back before transmitting a message to a disciple in the front. The content of the conversation was not known. Do you think he can take a hit? Celestial Fairy Bai Ling's eyes were fixated on Li Lingtian and Spiritual Master Tian Shao. It's impossible. It's a Tier 5 warrior king we're talking about. Even you and I would not be able to handle it, Celestial Fairy Qing Ling answered in a soft voice. The strike of a Tier 5 warrior ascendant could move mountains. It's out of the question for Tier 9 warrior kings, let alone a warrior spirit. The dust will settle after this move. It's a pity to lose a genius disciple. He's just too arrogant and naive. All warriors were engaged in heated discussion all the while as this was none of their business. For Sky Cloud sect to lose a genius, it was not all bad for them. Meanwhile, Tian Shao had circulated Gale Cloud Palm, sending a destructive air current between heaven and earth. The sky turned gray as if it was the end of the world. Warriors that were secondary to warrior kings circulated their technique in resisting the oppressive qi in the air. The fear in their faces spoke volumes. You may begin and cut the fancy moves. Don't be looking for excuses then, Li Lingtian said out loud. Standing on the ground, Li Lingtian darted a cold stare at Tian Shao suspended in the sky. He made a note to himself to grow stronger so that he could take to the air when he became a warrior ascendant. Boom! At an astonishing bang, a great palm print appeared in the air. With spiritual qi and energy between heaven and earth swiftly amassing, the 10-foot-tall palm print doubled its size and brought about the drive of Armageddon. Die, I say, die. Tian Zhao's body of violent energy was quickly stripped away while his true vitality was almost exhausted in full. It seemed that the move functioned as a forbidden spell to him. Gale Cloud Palm. Tian Zhao's really out to get him. This Gale Cloud Palm, together with Heavenly Destructive Technique, are much too powerful for even a Tier 6 warrior ascendant to handle. The terrifying palm print carrying an astounding drive of force was slammed onto the surface-bound Li Lingtian. The vicious attack of a warrior ascendant filled the atmosphere with an air of death. Is this the strength of a warrior ascendant? Li Lingtian dared not let his guard down at a time like this. One false step and he could potentially perish. His desire for strength had reached a limit. Ice Vitality Divine Fist, 3,000-mile frost. He circulated his body of true chi to form a glacier within a 200-yard radius around him. The glacier gave an illusion of an ice palace, a sight to behold. With that, the temperature plummeted down to a chilling degree. 1,000 shadows of fluttering flowers. At the swing of Li Lingtian's arm, an astonishing blade aura soared in the sky. The purple-green sword unleashed the astounding sword technique's third form, 1,000 shadows of fluttering flowers, prompting the air to break out in hundreds of blade aura and flickers. Ice and Fire Ring Temper. An exquisite ring appeared at the forefront. Li Lingtian's body of true chi was dunked into the ice and fire ring, stirring the ring to enlarge to 10 feet to create a barrier over him. Li Lingtian released several powerful attacks and defenses in one go. As he had qualms about unleashing Heaven and Earth Conflagration and Ice Vitality Divine Fist together, he opted to release Ice Vitality Divine Fist and 3,000-mile frost instead. Most of his true chi was consumed after the release of several attacks and defenses. The draconic chi in his body was circulated to the limit in launching the first layer of true dragon body barrier, pushing his defense to a peak. Bam! Following a loud explosion, the astonishing palm print carrying destructive energy crushed the glacier to bits. However, the solidification of the glacier had absorbed most of the Gale Cloud Palm's force. The shattered glacier was due to the hundreds of blade aura and flickers ganging up on the palm print. Sizzle, sizzle. Crackle, crackle. The Gale Cloud Palm demolished the blade aura and flickers in its path, and went straight to the ice and fire ring at extreme speed. Up in the air, close to 2,000 pairs of widened eyes watched Li Lingtian down below. These few powerful attacks and defenses may be omnipotent, but insufficient for a warrior ascendant. Wham! Bam! The Gale Cloud Palm struck the ice and fire ring with a loud explosion. With a confounding chilling chi and flaming chi coming into blows with the Gale Cloud Palm, the ice and fire ring collapsed to the ground. In the sky, Tian Zhao's face gradually turned solemn. He was clear on the impact of his Gale Cloud Palm. Although it may be awe-inspiring, the combination of attacks and defense had cancelled out most of its effect. Nevertheless, as long as one strand of energy landed on Li Lingtian, he was long gone. Tian Zhao was a warrior ascendant after all, and not someone a warrior spirit could defeat. Wham! At a loud bang, the Gale Cloud Palm slammed onto Li Lingtian before everyone's eyes. Just as the Gale Cloud Palm came in contact with Li Lingtian, a peculiar aura burst out of him. The aura came and went in a flash. Li Lingtian was thrown back by impact, catapulting several hundred yards away before disappearing in the bushes. The world resumed its silence, leaving only heavy winds tormenting the space. Chapter 61 Chapter 61 Battle with Wu Zong. Chapter 61 Battle with Wu Zong. Is he dead? Arrogance begins, death ends. This is the consequence of being arrogant. Wu Ling is indeed brave to face a Wu Zong. He was struck by lightning for acting tough. Great, he was killed by a palm strike. It was unknown who broke the silence in the space as a flurry of discussions broke out. The warriors from Sky Dragon Empire were all terrified. Li Lingtian was killed in a single strike. The might of a martial arts grandmaster was indeed shocking. The matter is already over. I've taken Tian Wuji's storage pouch. We'll deal with Sky Dragon Empire and Tianjin Empire later. Perfected Tian Zhao had already come to a conclusion when he saw Li Lingtian being struck by his Wind Cloud Palm. Even a warrior ascendant powerhouse would have a slim chance of survival if he was struck by the Wind Cloud Palm, let alone a warrior spirit disciple. Fuck, they're all flowery. They look good, but they're not strong enough. Are you going to die if you don't brag? I don't know what's inside the storage bag, but it's impossible for you to take it. A faint and familiar voice was heard. It was Li Lingtian, who was thought to be dead after he was sent flying. Li Lingtian's body flashed quickly, and he arrived at the spot where he was earlier. Looking at perfected Tian Shao in the air, blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. His face was pale, but his spirit seemed to be uninjured. If it weren't for the blood at the corner of his mouth and Tian Zhao's palm just now, he would have thought that this was an illusion. He was clearly hit by the great wind cloud palm, but he was actually fine. What a terrifying defense! Why didn't he die? Countless warriors were wondering what kind of powerful treasure or defense a Tier 7 warrior spirit had to survive a strike from a Grandmaster. A Tier 7 warrior spirit, after receiving a palm strike from a martial arts Grandmaster powerhouse, actually said that the martial arts Grandmaster powerhouse's move was just for show and lacked strength. What kind of person was this? Consider yourself lucky. Hand over the storage pouch and I can spare your life. Perfected Tian Shao was also extremely shocked. The Great Wind Cloud Palm was a skill that he was good at. Even a martial arts Grandmaster powerhouse would find it difficult to withstand a single blow. Now it was caught by a warrior spirit disciple. A murderous intent flashed in his heart. If this disciple were to mature, no one would be able to suppress him in the future. However, he could not put down his pride to deal with Li Lingtian when he was facing countless warriors. Since his first attack had failed, he would be too embarrassed to make a move on the second attack. As long as you can withstand one of my attacks, I'll give you the storage bag. Li Lingtian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth as he spoke loudly. He was extremely satisfied with the true dragon body barrier. Although the martial Grandmaster's attack had broken through a few of his defenses and attacks, his true dragon body barrier managed to withstand it in the end. His cultivation was still too low, otherwise, he would not have been injured mentally. If he had reached the martial arts Grandmaster level, even if he did not use any defense or attack, he would still be able to take a martial arts Grandmaster's attack head-on. What? Crazy, he's crazy. He's actually so arrogant. Asking a martial arts Grandmaster to take a blow from him, isn't this an insult to the strength of a martial arts Grandmaster? Li Lingtian, don't mess around. Give him the storage pouch and let's go. Junior brother Li, don't act rashly. Countless warriors were shocked and cried out in surprise. They could not understand the young man Li Lingtian. They did not know what he was capable of to boast like that. The Sky Cloud sect members quickly stopped Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian had already earned the Sky Cloud sect a lot of face by taking a blow from a martial Grandmaster. It was not too late to stop now. You said it yourself. Not only did perfected Tian Shao not smile, but he also looked furious. This was a blatant insult. Even if he stood there and let the warrior spirit disciples attack him, they would not be able to break through his defense. If he doesn't die this time, his name will definitely spread throughout the Azure continent. If this child grows up, no one in Green Continent can suppress him. It's just that he's too arrogant. If he kept a low profile, he would definitely become an existence that would shake the Azure continent. Countless martial kings and martial arts grandmasters discussed animatedly, all of them cherishing talent. If they had such a disciple, why would the sect not be strong? He had reached Tier 7 warrior spirit at the age of 16, and he had taken on a grandmaster's attack and killed a Tier 2 warrior king, Tian Wuji. Say no more. A warrior must have a strong heart. Today, as long as he withstands one of my moves, I'll return the storage pouch to him. If he goes back on his word, I, Li Lingtian, will destroy Tianjin Empire. Li Lingtian waved his hand to stop the Sky Dragon Empire's warriors from dissuading him. He spoke in a cold voice that reached the ears of all the warriors. It made their hearts tremble, and they asked themselves if they had the heart of a strong warrior. Hush! They felt a chill run down their spines when they heard Li Lingtian's words. Only such a person would dare to say that they would destroy Tianjin Empire. Not now, but when they grew up, they could not afford to offend such a person. The Tianjin Empire was powerful and no one could shake it. However, if they provoked a strong person, they would slowly take the opportunity to destroy the Tianjin Empire. It was said that countless years ago, a low-level disciple was bullied by a super sect. He said the same thing. In the end, this disciple grew up and killed all the low-level disciples of that super sect. In the end, all the disciples of that super sect did not dare to go out. However, after a few years, the disciples of that super sect were all wiped out, leaving only a few super experts. The disciples of the sect dared to join, and in the end, the sect disappeared in the long river of history. Use your strongest defense. Don't regret it later. I'll show you what an attack is. Li Lingtian stared coldly at perfected Tian Shao in the air. His tone was like that of an old man. All the warriors were struck by a sudden realization. Was he 16 or 60 years old? Today, I want to see what kind of ability you have. Go ahead and use your strongest move. Invincible defense, heavenly destruction art. Perfected Tian Shao was furious. Against 2,000 super geniuses, all the forces in Green Continent were actually challenged by a warrior spirit disciple. Furthermore, he was only going to receive one move from a warrior spirit disciple. Even if he won, he would lose face in Green Continent in the future. Even though Li Lingtian was a Tier 7 warrior spirit, he was still shocked that his attack did not kill him. He dared not underestimate this young man. He circulated his vital essence throughout his entire body. A martial arts grandmaster was no longer a true chi, but a true essence. True essence and true chi were only one word apart, but the power between them was indeed worlds apart. Heaven and earth trembled continuously, and countless spiritual chi was quickly absorbed to his side, forming an invincible defense. A mountain chi was emitted, and perfected Tian Shao was as stable as a mountain. What a terrifying defense! I didn't expect Tian Shao to be able to cultivate the forbidden technique of the royal family of Tianjin Empire, invincible defense, after cultivating the heavenly destruction art to the 8th level. Invincible defense. No one in the same level can break it. Even if it's an attack from someone in the same level, it won't be a problem. Although Li Lingtian is not weak, he's dreaming if he wants to break through this defense. Even I don't have the confidence to break through his invincible defense. The few martial arts grandmasters were shocked when they saw perfected Tian Zhao's invincible defense. They compared their cultivation strength with Tian Zhao's. Even martial arts grandmasters would find it difficult to break through his invincible defense. Li Lingtian was also paying attention to perfected Tian Zhao's defense. All the spirit chi between heaven and earth was gathered around perfected Tian Shao. Perfected Tian Shao was like an unshakable mountain. A faint light barrier covered him, just like the magic shield of a magician in the game in his previous life. The light shield was extremely dazzling, giving people a feeling that it was indestructible. Chapter 62, Wu Zong, Death. Chapter 62, Wu Zong, Death. Invincible defense. I'll see how hard your turtle shell is. Power of the Earth Dragon, Roaring Dragon Battle Halberd. Roar Dragon Battle Halberd break. While all the warriors were shocked by Reverend Tian Shao, Li Lingtian roared. His loud voice was like a dragon's roar from the 9th heaven, resounding through the world and drawing all the warriors' attention. They looked at Li Lingtian curiously. They wanted to see how a Tier 7 warrior spirit could boast about breaking through a warrior ascendant's defense. Furthermore, a warrior ascendant powerhouse had unleashed his invincible defense. Li Lingtian circulated his true qi to the maximum and the dragon energy in his body continued to surge. The first layer of the true dragon body barrier was the Earth Dragon's power. Although the true dragon body barrier was a defensive layer, its offensive power was unparalleled. The appearance of the dragon qi caused a strange and domineering demonic power to be emitted between heaven and earth. The terrifying and destructive dragon qi made countless martial artists tremble in their hearts. Li Lingtian extended his hand and a mighty halberd that was 3 meters long appeared out of thin air. The halberd emitted a shocking pressure. It was the pressure of a treasure. What a terrifying pressure! This halberd is a peerless profound level weapon. Supreme grade profound armament. No wonder you dare to boast like this. However, supreme grade profound armament isn't something that a warrior spirit can completely control. Some of the martial kings and martial grandmasters were greedy when they saw the roaring dragon warrior halberd in Li Lingtian's hands. However, they were wary when they sensed the mighty pressure emanating from the roaring dragon warrior halberd. Li Lingtian struck the roaring dragon combat halberd against the ground with one hand. Instantly, a shocking force soared into the sky and he used this force to shoot toward Reverend Tian Shao who was in the air. The silver roaring dragon battle halberd and the white figure looked like a god of war. They turned into meteors and attacked the Wu Zong in the sky. All the warriors were staring at Li Lingtian. None of them dared to breathe loudly as they wanted to see the outcome of the battle between the two. 2 meters, 50 meters, 10 meters. 10 meters away from perfected Tian Shao, Li Lingtian could clearly feel the terrifying defensive pressure, and his speed slowed down significantly. Tian Shao and the other warriors could tell that Li Lingtian's supreme-grade profound armament was terrifying, but he could not get within 10 meters of perfected Tian Shao. This was the pressure and power of a martial arts grandmaster. Anyone below the martial arts grandmaster level would find it difficult to even get close to a martial arts grandmaster, let alone defeat one. At that moment, a whirlwind appeared in the sky. The roaring dragon combat halberd in Li Lingtian's hand began to spin rapidly as a shocking amount of demonic energy surged toward the roaring dragon combat halberd. Swoosh! With a whooshing sound, Li Lingtian left perfected Tian Shao and appeared above perfected Tian Shao in a flash. The roaring dragon combat poleaxe in his hand was swung at the light shield below. Rumble! In the sky, the pressure and power of the roaring dragon battle halberd shook the sky as well, making a tearing sound as if it was about to be torn apart. Ah, impossible! Invincible defense! Just as everyone was feeling the terrifying pressure, Li Lingtian's roaring dragon combat halberd had already struck the invincible defensive light shield. However, the light shield blocked the roaring dragon combat halberd. Naturally, the other warriors below the warrior king realm could not see Li Lingtian's expression. However, the powerhouses above the warrior king realm had a murderous glint in their eyes when Li Lingtian's halberd struck the light shield. There was also a cruel smile on their faces. Even martial kings and martial arts grandmasters could not understand this smile. This gaze was not something that a martial spirit disciple could have. This gaze made them, as martial kings and martial arts grandmasters, feel terrified. He finally understood. Li Lingtian's roaring dragon combat halberd quivered slightly and a destructive mysterious aura surged toward the light shield. The light shield did not resist at all and the strange aura entered the light shield without any defense. Perfected Tian Shao felt the destructive power enter his body. Even his martial arts grandmaster physique was quickly torn apart and destroyed in front of this power. His invincible defense was completely useless. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for provoking me. Die. Remember, if there's a next life, don't provoke me. Li Lingtian was extremely satisfied. The power of the dragon energy was indeed devastating. It completely ignored the defense of a martial arts grandmaster powerhouse. With one strike, The dragon energy entered perfected Tian Zhao's body. Ah! Rumble! A scream was followed by a shocking explosion. The warrior ascendant powerhouse was blasted apart by a Tier 7 warrior spirit. A destructive halo spread out in all directions in the sky. Li Lingtian's body flashed strangely as he distanced himself from the halo's residual force. Rumble! The air was constantly torn apart and countless astral winds raged. The martial artists below all used their defenses to resist the residual force of this halo. Even so, many geniuses were injured by the residual force. Silence, 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 silence. There was no sound between heaven and earth. It was as if they had entered a silent spacetime. Nearly 2,000 experts were watching the scene in the sky in a daze. Everything had exceeded their imaginations. A Tier 7 warrior spirit was like an ant in front of a martial king or martial grandmaster. In front of a Tier 5 martial grandmaster, perfected Tian Zhao, he was like a speck of dust. However, in front of this speck of dust, perfected Tian Zhao, who was a Tier 5 martial arts grandmaster, could not even withstand a single move. In the end, he was directly blown up and now dissipated into thin air. Who else is not convinced? I specialize in dealing with all kinds of unconvinced people. Li Lingtian's body swayed as he fell rapidly. At that moment, the multicolored beast that had disappeared suddenly appeared. Li Lingtian stepped on the multicolored beast's body and landed on the ground. The voice broke the silence, and all the warriors woke up with a trace of fear on their faces. This youth was too terrifying. Let's go. Be careful in the future. If you encounter this guy, stay far away. If you don't want to die, don't provoke him. You are all geniuses, but he is a monster. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Hoo. In an instant, countless martial artists flew away quickly on their flying ship. Their speed was extremely fast, and the sound of martial kings and martial grandmasters lecturing their disciples could be heard. A shadow of fear appeared in his heart. Although he was only a warrior spirit, he had killed a martial arts grandmaster with one blow. If he encountered such a person, he would only be courting death. This matter had to be made known to the sect and family. They had to try their best to avoid provoking this youth or think of a way to destroy him. Otherwise, no one would be able to suppress him in the future. Congratulations, Senior Brotherly. Congratulations, Brother Bai Yan. Your Sky Cloud sect has produced a heaven-defying monster. Junior Brotherly, congratulations. Senior Brotherly's strength is truly terrifying. I believe that no one in the past 10,000 years has been able to kill a Wu Ling. All of a sudden, all the empires and clans had left except for the group from Sky Dragon Empire. Everyone congratulated Li Lingtian, Lu Yi, and Zhou Qingqing. Even the martial king elders and Tier 9 warrior spirit top geniuses did not dare to bow. Fairy Bai Ling and Fairy Qing Ling also went forward to congratulate them. Brat, you've hidden yourself well. Tian, he shouted. Although he had given Li Lingtian heaven and earth incineration the last time he was tricked, he still felt a little embarrassed. Now that Li Lingtian had killed the martial arts grandmaster in one blow, there was nothing to be embarrassed about. Even a Tier 5 martial arts grandmaster was killed in a single strike, let alone a Tier 1 martial arts grandmaster like him. Furthermore, it seemed like it was worth it to give away the heaven and earth conflagration. He had gained a favor from a super monster. I was just lucky. Can't you see that I don't have any true chi or strength left? Li Lingtian smiled bitterly. The attack just now had depleted all his true chi and strength. Even a martial arts grandmaster could easily kill him, let alone a martial arts grandmaster. However, he had Little White and the multicolored beast by his side. Only a fool would make a move at this time. Brat, you are too arrogant. Be careful in the future. This thing is useless to me. I will give it to you. Maybe it can save your life. Tian He pondered for a moment. The young man's words were to his liking. He then took out a fiery red jade slip from his storage pouch and tossed it to Li Lingtian. Tian He, when did you become so generous? This is your life-saving treasure, the flaming shield talisman. Fairy Green Spirit was shocked when she saw the fiery red jade slip in Li Lingtian's hand. Others might not know about this jade slip, but they knew that it was a mystical and precious mystic talisman. As long as one had a fire-type martial soul, they could use this jade slip to teleport hundreds of miles away. It was extremely precious, and was even more precious than a superior-grade profound armament. He did not expect the old man to gift such a thing to Li Lingtian. Thank you, Senior. Li Lingtian was shocked as well. However, it would be a waste not to have such an item. Perhaps it could save his life. Following that, everyone exchanged a few pleasantries before they flew their respective swift boats toward their respective sects. Li Lingtian also returned to Sky Cloud Sect's swift boat. Chapter 63 Chapter 63 Shock is still shock. Chapter 63 Shock is still shock. Along the way, the Sky Cloud Sect disciples were extremely excited. They did not expect that this person who had been called trash by the outer disciples was actually a perverted expert who could kill a martial arts grandmaster. With such a disciple, it was not difficult for Sky Cloud Sect to grow stronger. Even Bai Yen and the other elders were extremely polite to Li Lingtian. In this world, the strong were respected. Li Lingtian was a warrior spirit, but if he could kill a martial grandmaster, the martial kings were nothing. However, Li Lingtian had been meditating to regulate his breathing. He swallowed the myriad spirit pills one by one, and within a day, his true qi cultivation base was restored to its peak. They were eager to return home. In just 4 days, Li Lingtian and the rest had returned to Sky Cloud Sect's territory, the Sky Screen Mountains, on the swift boat. When the flying boat entered the mountain range, countless martial artists came to welcome it. Every disciple who entered Hidden Dragon Island was the elite of the elite. Those who could come back would most likely be able to make a breakthrough. When the tens of thousands of disciples saw the flying boat return, they knew that the adventure on Hidden Dragon Island that had lasted for half a year had come to an end. Dozens of Sky Cloud Sect elders and Sect Master Ling Tianfeng also came out to welcome them. When they saw that there were still 107 genius disciples on the flying boat, they were pleasantly surprised. Moreover, there were many geniuses among the disciples who returned. Li Lingtian had also returned safely. Countless elders and grandmasters were stunned when they saw Li Lingtian's cultivation base. They then began to size him up. Disciple greets Sect Master and elders. Li Lingtian disembarked from the swift boat and greeted Ling Tianfeng and the others with a respectful expression. Your cultivation has reached the 7th step. I didn't expect to reach Tier 7 warrior spirit in half a year. When you went in, you should have been a Tier 9 warrior, right? The ice and fire martial spirits are indeed powerful. Dozens of martial king elders and sect masters exclaimed in surprise. Countless warriors were shocked. Only the people on the swift boat were not surprised at all because they had seen Li Lingtian's more powerful move. They were already numb to such surprise. Following that, the 107 disciples entered the main hall. Dozens of martial king elders took their seats, including Li Lingtian, who was an honorary elder. Take a look at your harvest this time. Let's see if Sky Cloud Sect can improve in the next 100 years. Ling Tianfeng said. Entering Hidden Dragon Island was for the disciples to gain experience and also to obtain treasures and medicinal herbs. Only Hidden Dragon Island had precious medicinal herbs that could support the development of Sky Cloud Sect. Shao Tian, 200 100-year-old herbs, 50 500-year-old herbs, and 1,000-year-old herb. Chunfeng, 300 100-year-old herbs, 73 500-year-old herbs, and 2,000-year-old herbs. Mausoleum of Zhou, 300 and 700-year-old herbs, 4,500-year-old herbs, and 4,000-year-old herbs. Dongfang Qingyu, 1,360-100-year herbs, 125-100-year herbs, and 19,000-year herbs. Over 100 disciples took out all the medicinal herbs they had obtained. They had nothing to hide because Sky Cloud sect used these medicinal herbs to exchange for medicinal pills and spirit stones. The martial king realm elders and sect masters were pleasantly surprised when they saw the medicinal herbs that the disciples took out. With these medicinal herbs, they could refine countless precious pills. Over 100 disciples had finished counting the medicinal herbs. Dongfang Qingyu, Murong Tianjiao, Lan Yuyan, and the others had obtained the most medicinal herbs. There were even countless grade 3 inner cores. Li Lingtian, where are your herbs? Qin Tian shouted when he saw Li Lingtian meditating on his seat. With Li Lingtian's strength, he should have obtained quite a number of herbs. All the warriors and elders turned to look at Li Lingtian, waiting for him to take out the herbs. They wanted to see how many herbs this disciple could take out. Oh! Li Lingtian opened his eyes and saw that the other disciples had finished counting their herbs and were waiting for him. He stood up and took out 5 storage pouches before handing them to Qin Tian. He then returned to his seat. Qin Tian and the rest were stunned but did not speak. But following that, everyone's eyes were stunned. They saw Qin Tian open the storage bag, and a large pile of medicinal herbs appeared in everyone's sight. The medicinal herbs with dense spiritual qi were of excellent quality. Compared to the medicinal herbs of other disciples, they were countless times better from the appearance. Everyone was stunned. Even if they didn't count these herbs, there were at least 10,000 of them. 13,000 100-year-old herbs, 200 500-year-old herbs, 14,000 100-year-old herbs, 130 500-year-old herbs, 12,600 100-year-old herbs, and 240 500-year-old herbs. Qin Tian's voice struck everyone's minds one by one. Until the last storage bag's medicinal ingredients were counted out, everyone was numb. Li Lingtian, a total of 61,300 100-year herbs, 1,900 500-year herbs, 50,000-year herbs, and 30 10,000-year herbs. When Qin Tian reported the total number, everyone was shocked except for Li Lingtian, who was meditating and resting as if he had nothing to do with this. The number of herbs he had was 10 times the number of all the disciples combined. Furthermore, Li Lingtian had 50,000-year-old herbs and 30 10,000-year-old herbs. Li Lingtian was the only one who had obtained the 10,000-year-old herbs. After all, 10,000-year-old herbs could be used to refine Tier 7 pills. Sky Cloud sect had only kept 13 10,000-year-old herbs for hundreds of years, and they were treated like treasures. If they knew that Li Lingtian's divine dragon ring contained 100 times more herbs than the outside world, it would be strange if they did not go crazy. Li Lingtian's divine dragon ring was a herb garden with countless herbs that had been stored for thousands of years. It was all thanks to Little White. According to his calculations, there were a total of 370,000 medicinal herbs that were over 1,000 years old. There were more than 20,000 medicinal herbs that were over 10,000 years old. The best of these medicinal herbs were reserved for him to refine pills, so he naturally would not take them out. If he didn't need it, he would take it out. If he didn't need it, it would be a waste to keep it. Li Lingtian, what's going on? Ling Tianfeng slammed his palm on the seat, and the aura from his body burst out. It immediately woke everyone up and they looked at Ling Tianfeng in confusion. I've entered Divine Dragon Palace. Li Lingtian said calmly. No one had ever been to Divine Dragon Palace before. This was the first time or perhaps the last. Ling Tianfeng nearly went crazy when he saw so many herbs. As expected. Ling Tianfeng sat down with an excited expression on his face. 1,000-year medicinal herbs and 10,000-year-old medicinal herbs were the main ingredients for medicinal pills above the 4th or 5th grade. Sect Master, Junior Brother Li asked the other disciples to pay 100,000 spirit stones. Lan Yuyan stood up and glanced at Li Lingtian. She was still excited when she recalled how Li Lingtian extorted all the geniuses. What? Tell me the truth. The elders in the hall were all curious. Ling Tianfeng was also curious. This young man had given him too many surprises. It would be good for him to calm down if he could be a little more normal. Divine Dragon Palace appeared, and the array masters were unable to open the gate. Junior Brother Li asked everyone to pay 100,000 spirit stones, and Junior Brother Li agreed to open the gate. Lan Yuyan said indifferently, recounting the situation at that time. Yes, 100,000 spiritual stones is indeed a lot. It's enough for him to use for a few years. Ling Tianfeng said indifferently. Only this perverted youth would dare to ask for spirit stones in front of all the geniuses in Eastern Spirit Continent. However, 100,000 spirit stones was nothing to him. All the warrior kings felt a little relieved. 100,000 spiritual stones was not a small amount, but it was still a world of difference compared to the countless medicinal herbs. None of them understood Lan Yuyan's words and thought that Li Lingtian had only asked for 100,000 spiritual stones. 360 warriors. Each of them will pay 100,000 spirit stones. Lan Yuyan said softly. After she finished speaking, she quickly retreated, worried that these martial uncles, elders, and sect master would go berserk. Sure enough, after she finished speaking, all the elders were stunned for a moment, then immediately became shocked and lost their composure. Chapter 64 Chapter 64 Who asked him to be disappointing? Chapter 64 Who asked him to be disappointing? What? 100,000 spirit stones per person? This isn't 36 million spirit stones. Bullshit. 100,000 spiritual stones per person? Isn't that courting death? He's too bold. Asking all the super experts for so many spirit stones. All of a sudden, dozens of elders and Ling Tianfeng lost their composure. They looked like they were going crazy. It was more than 30 million. A warrior spirit disciple dared to extort all the super geniuses. What kind of person was this? Did they? Ling Tianfeng was the first to calm down. He wanted to know what the result would be. After all, those were the most powerful geniuses in Green Continent. Wasn't extorting them like this courting death? Yes, and they were all returned very quickly because they all wanted to enter the Divine Dragon Palace. Dongfang Qingyu took over the conversation. He was the one involved, and if it were not for Li Lingtian's appearance, he would have died in there. 36 million. All the elders could only sigh and feel sad for those geniuses. They were really unlucky to meet this youth. However, Junior Brother Li did not open the gate. Instead, he killed Tianjin Empire's second prince, Tian Wuji's rank 4 pseudo-dragon beast. Dongfang Qingyu continued to explain everything. Although he looked calm when he thought of the situation at that time, he did not know what to feel. He extorted all the geniuses, killed the second prince's pseudo-dragon beast, and even killed the martial king of the 10,000 demons sect and the super genius of the divine sword sect. Everyone in the hall was shocked. All the martial king realm elders and sect leader Ling Tianfeng felt that the world had gone crazy. Tier 5 warrior spirit, kill the martial king of the divine sword sect, kill the martial king of the myriad demon sect. Extorting all the geniuses for their spiritual stones and harming the second prince's Tier 4 demonic beast. Each of these things was something that they did not even dare to think about. They did not expect that this youth would actually do all of them. Sect Master, this isn't a trap, all right? I had no choice. Who asked them to all want to enter the Divine Dragon Palace? In the end, it was the inner core of the pseudo-dragon beast that opened the door to the Divine Dragon Palace. Li Lingtian had been watching the shocked elders in the hall calmly before he rebutted them. He was not trying to trick them, but they were all acting tough. This sentence made everyone in the hall speechless. What kind of people were these? Sect Master, there's one more thing that I must report. It concerns the safety of Sky Cloud Sect. Bai Yen stepped forward with an uneasy expression. Tianjin Empire would not let go of the fact that Li Lingtian had killed Tian Shao of the martial arts grandmaster and the second prince. What is it? Hurry up and tell me. Ling Tianfeng noticed Bai Yan's reaction as well. His eyes were fixed on Li Lingtian because when Bai Yan spoke, his eyes swept across Li Lingtian. He was certain that Li Lingtian was involved in this matter. Li Lingtian killed the second prince, Tian Wuji. Tianjin Empire's Tian Shao found out about it after he came out. Bai Yan was still trembling as he recalled what happened a few days ago. If it were not for Li Lingtian and Tian Zhao's bet, they would not have made it back. Tian Shao, a 5th-rank martial arts grandmaster. His strength is not much different from mine. Could it be that Tian Shao wants a war between the two countries? What? Li Lingtian killed Tian Wuji? Tian Wuji. He seems to be the third genius of the Tianjin Empire's royal family. He seems to have mastered the Earth-class Tyrant Fist. Sect Master Ling Tianfeng did not mind because he was killed on Hidden Dragon Island. No one would take revenge on him after he came out. The other martial kings were surprised by Tian Wuji's understanding of him. Although Tian Wuji was only a rank 1 or rank 2 martial king, he was extremely powerful. That's right. Perfected Tian Shao has surrounded the entire Sky Dragon Empire. He's going to hand over the storage bag or kill all the warriors of Sky Dragon Empire. Following that, Bai Yan told them about Tian Shao and Li Lingtian. Instantly, the hall fell silent and was beyond shock. Li Lingtian was not injured after taking a blow from the sky howling great wind cloud palm? Li Lingtian killed Tian Shao, a Tier 5 warrior ascendant, in one move? This is impossible. Bai Yin, you have to watch your words. Li Lingtian, is that true? Dozens of elders were speechless because they were all stunned by Bai Yan's words. In the end, Ling Tianfeng looked at Li Lingtian with a sharp gaze and asked seriously, "What does it mean to have a martial arts grandmaster killed?" Sect Master, I did receive an attack from Tian Shao. It should be the Great Wind Cloud Palm. However, he has too many flashy moves. I naturally won't just take a beating and not retaliate. He hit me with a palm, so I naturally had to return the favor. Who asked him to be so disappointing that he was killed in one move? I didn't do it on purpose. Li Lingtian pretended to be innocent and his face was filled with grievance. The disciples and elders who pretended to be fighting Li Lingtian and Tian Shao were on the verge of tears when they saw Li Lingtian's expression. He was still pretending to be innocent even though he had destroyed the martial arts grandmaster. Good, good, good. Well done. It's not right to just be beaten up. You can't be blamed for this. Good. Ling Tianfeng said loudly with an excited smile on his face. Even he dared not underestimate a Tier 5 martial arts grandmaster's great wind cloud palm. Yet, it was actually caught by Li Lingtian, a warrior spirit disciple. The last move had even killed a Tier 5 martial arts grandmaster. Its power could no longer be described as terrifying. With such a disciple appearing in Sky Cloud Sect, could it be the time for Sky Cloud Sect to rise? With such a disciple, as long as there was enough time, he could shake the Azure continent. All disciples, double the reward. Go back and cultivate in peace. Li Lingtian, as the sect master, I'll bestow upon you the title of Sky Pavilion Master. From now on, you'll be the owner of Sky Peak. Cultivate diligently and I'll protect you from everything that happens outside. Send the rest of the herbs to the Valley of the Medicine Masters. I will personally hand these herbs over to the Valley of the Medicine Masters. Ling Tianfeng pondered for a while, then closed his eyes and opened his mouth. After a minute, he announced that the disciples who returned this time would receive double the benefit. In the end, Li Lingtian was given the title of Tianyu Pavilion Master, which shocked all the disciples and elders. Tianyu Peak was a forbidden place in Sky Cloud Sect. This identity was almost the same as the sect master's status. In other words, he was below one person and above 10,000 people. Li Lingtian took the jade token from Ling Tianfeng and left with the rest of the disciples. The hall was empty in a moment. Ling Tianfeng also disappeared from the hall and flew toward the depths of Sky Cloud Sect. Li Lingtian was aware that Ling Tianfeng was communicating with the Grand Supreme Elder of Sky Cloud Sect via secret voice sending. Although he did not know what they were talking about, he could tell that Ling Tianfeng's words were most likely related to him. Moreover, the matter between the Sky Peak and the Sky Pavilion Master was not something that a sect master like him could decide. Li Lingtian did not stop after leaving the hall. He immediately sent his divine consciousness into the jade token and scanned through the Sky Cloud Sect's forbidden areas before he found his seat at Tianyu Peak. Chapter 65, Tianyu Peak. Chapter 65, Tianyu Peak. When Li Lingtian and the others returned to Sky Cloud Sect, the other empires were also shocked. Perfected Tian Shao, the elder of the Tianjin Empire's royal family, had been killed by a Tier 7 warrior spirit disciple. The two of them had only exchanged one move, and a Tier 5 martial arts grandmaster had been killed. The Tianjin Empire had suffered great losses this time. The second prince, Tian Wuji, had been killed on Hidden Dragon Island, and a Tier 5 martial arts grandmaster older had been killed instead of bullying Sky Cloud Sect. Li Lingtian's name was noticed by many factions. It was not easy for a Tier 7 warrior spirit disciple to kill a martial grandmaster. What is it? Tian Wuji and Tian Shao were killed? Tianjin Empire was the most powerful empire in Eastern Spirit Azure continent. It was several times more powerful than Sky Dragon Empire. If it weren't for the other two empires, Sky Dragon Empire would have long disappeared. In Tianjin city of Tianjin Empire, in the majestic palace, in an underground palace hundreds of meters underground, more than 10 powerful martial arts grandmasters were in the main hail. When they saw the news from Tianjin Empire, all the martial arts grandmasters were furious. 11 First Elder Tian Wuji was killed by Li Lingtian on Hidden Dragon Island. Elder Tian Shao avenged Tian Wuji, but was eventually killed by Li Lingtian. A rank 9 martial king said respectfully. He did not even dare to breathe loudly in front of these martial arts grandmaster elders. Good. The good disciples trained by Sky Dragon Empire, just you wait. 11. Pass on my order to Tianlai. Tell him to pay attention to any movements in Sky Dragon Empire. Don't worry about anything else and don't let Sky Dragon Empire discover any clues. We must obtain that treasure. I don't think Sky Cloud Sect would think of the existence of the Sky Cloud Sword. 1 foot. In the depths of the 9 Peaks Mountain in the Nanling Empire, in a huge palace, more than 10 powerful martial arts grandmasters were resting with their eyes closed. Suddenly, the Tier 9 martial arts grandmaster sitting in the center opened his eyes, revealing an excited expression. I've received news that there are some problems between Tianjin Empire and Sky Dragon Empire. This is the perfect opportunity for us to go to the Thunderclap City. The person who spoke was also a Tier 9 martial arts grandmaster. His face was filled with excitement as if he had obtained a treasure. Great Elder, do you mean that the Thunderclap Wings Arc in Sky Dragon Empire? 11. The other martial arts grandmasters woke up and said in surprise. If they could obtain the thunderclap wings, their strength would definitely increase by a large margin. At the same time, the Northern Nether Empire and the other mysterious families received some pleasant news. They all pointed their fingers at the Sky Dragon Empire. In Eastern Spirit Azure Continent, after the once-in-a-century Hidden Dragon Island adventure ended, countless sects and clans began to develop rapidly. This was because every time Hidden Dragon Island opened, Eastern Spirit Azure Continent's forces would be reshuffled. Some sects and clans disappeared, while some unknown clans and sects rose up. Li Lingtian came before Tianyu Peak and was shocked when he saw its height. Tianyu Peak was 1,000 meters tall and was one of the 4 highest peaks in Sky Cloud Sect. Although the density of spirit chi here was not comparable to that of Hidden Dragon Island, it was definitely one of the densest places in the Sky Screen mountain range. Having such a large mountain peak for his cultivation was indeed extremely luxurious. It was still a little lonely for him to live alone on such a large mountain peak. His body flashed and he quickly flew towards the heavenly universe peak. 5 minutes later, he arrived at the mountainside. However, he was blocked by a powerful restriction. Even with his cultivation, he could not break this restriction. As soon as he took out the jade token, a light flashed and the restriction disappeared. Li Lingtian's body flashed into it and he quickly flew up the mountain peak before finally arriving at the summit. There were more than 10 pavilions at the top of the mountain, which was enough for him to use. Moreover, there were countless pavilions halfway up the mountain. After half an hour, he finally finished sizing up the entire Tianyu Peak. The spiritual energy at the top of the mountain was dense. Not far from the top of the mountain was a bottomless cold pool that emitted an icy aura. Even he would feel a slight chill if he did not put up his defense. Furthermore, there seemed to be a powerful aura emanating from the frost pool. Li Lingtian was not sure what it was, but he was not too concerned about the place. Sky Pavilion / Li Lingtian nodded in satisfaction as he looked at the pavilion not far away from the summit. The Tianyu Pavilion symbolized one's status, and he would be cultivating here in the future. In the future, you better watch this place for me. When the time comes, I'll let your realm increase rapidly. Your realm is still too weak. Li Lingtian released the multicolored beast. Its powerful aura alarmed countless demonic beasts on Tianyu Peak. Although a Tier 4 Level 4 multicolored beast was equivalent to a martial arts grandmaster powerhouse, it was still too weak in Li Lingtian's eyes. After settling the multicolored beast, Li Lingtian brought Little White into the Tianyu Pavilion and chose a room to rest in. With the multicolored beast guarding outside, Little White was the most relaxed. Inside the room, Li Lingtian began to clean up his treasures and wealth. After an hour, his soul consciousness came out of the divine dragon ring. His face was pale. His soul consciousness couldn't last long in the interspatial ring. Inside the divine dragon ring, it was like a world. The dragon abyss was inside, and countless dragon bones were inside. There were also hundreds of giant dragon bodies. Although there was no vitality, their might was still there. Back when Li Lingtian was still on Hidden Dragon Island, he had already made a separate base for planting medicinal herbs. All the precious medicinal herbs were brought in. In the divine dragon ring, he was the ruler, and some treasures and spirit stones were placed inside alone. Those precious spiritual fruits were also nourished by rich spiritual chi. In the divine dragon ring, there were over 310,000-year-old spiritual fruits, over 2,000 5,000-year-old spiritual fruits, over 10,000 1,000-year-old and 500-year-old spiritual fruits, and over 100,000 100-year-old spiritual fruits. He scanned them with his spiritual consciousness and found that there should be 100,000 spiritual fruit. What he valued more were the heaven and earth creation cauldron, the roaring dragon combat halberd, and the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber. These 3 treasures were all divine artifacts. He could not use them now, but he could use them in the future. 36 million spirit stones is not a small amount. It should be enough for me to use for a while. Wait a few days. I'll go out and get rid of some spirit weapons and materials. I'll exchange them for some materials. Li Lingtian placed all the items into the divine dragon ring. He then placed the treasures and weapons aside, the medicinal herbs aside, and the spirit fruits in one place. These items could be retrieved with a single divine consciousness when they were needed. Following that, Li Lingtian started cultivating seriously. He refined a grade 2 spirit binding pill with the creation cauldron and used the pills to improve his cultivation. When he was hungry, he would cat 100-year-old spirit fruit. When he was full, he could still improve his cultivation. His cultivation base improved rapidly. In just 10 days, he had already reached Tier 8 warrior spirit. He had also refined countless spirit binding pills and vitality pills. Little White and the multicolored beast ate 5 pills every day, and their cultivation increased rapidly. On the other hand, it was extremely difficult for demonic beasts to advance. Even Li Lingtian's elixirs could only shorten their cultivation time. The Heaven-Shocking Sword Technique, the Flaming Divine Fist, the Ice Vitality Divine Fist, the Heaven and Earth Shattering Divine Fist, and the Heaven and Earth Burning Divine Fist were cultivated non-stop every day without a moment of relaxation. The Roaring Dragon Battle Halberd was also refined and entered his body. It turned into an inch-long battle halberd and stayed in his dantian. Normally, he wouldn't use the Roaring Dragon Combat Halberd unless he had no other choice. This was because the Roaring Dragon Combat Halberd had been refined into a life-saving treasure and was connected to his mind. With his cultivation base, he could just use a low-grade profound armament, the purple-green sword. Furthermore, he had a few other tyrannical skills. Warrior spirit martial artists were no longer his enemies. His opponents were martial kings. FL recommend a friend's book. It's produced by the Almighty. It's called The Immortal God in the City. Author, FCI Gu led the way. Everyone can collect it first. J. Chapter 66 Chapter 66 Heavenly Pavilion Master. Chapter 66 Heavenly Pavilion Master. Let's go out and take a look. 10 days had passed. After reaching Tier 8 Warrior Spirit, Li Lingtian walked out of the Tianyu Pavilion and rode on the multicolored beast with Little White. They then sprinted down. Tang Zimeng was his fiancée. He had not seen her for more than half a year, and he missed this little beauty a little. Now that he was resting, he could go and take a look. As for Shangguan Linger and the others, he had quite a number of medicinal pills and spirit stones on him. It was time to give them some or bring them to Tianyu Peak to cultivate. The appearance of a powerful demonic beast's aura in Sky Cloud Sect immediately attracted countless warrior spirit powerhouses and even martial king elders. They thought that the demonic beast had attacked. Li Lingtian sat on the multicolored beast with a calm expression. The multicolored beast was 5 meters tall and 7 meters long. It was tall and mighty. Even a Tier 9 peak warrior spirit disciple would be suppressed by the multicolored beast's aura. 4th rank demonic beast. When they arrived at the square of the inner sect, countless martial artists felt the shocking demonic chi. Their expressions changed drastically. They looked at the multicolored beast in the distance and panicked for a moment. Hey, isn't this the #1 disciple of the inner sect, Senior Brotherly? To actually tame a Tier 4 demonic beast as a mount, it's indeed powerful. I believe that even a Tier 9 warrior spirit would not be a match for this demonic beast. Arc UAF * eking fool? This is a Tier 4 demonic beast, equivalent to a martial arts grandmaster. Even martial arts grandmasters wouldn't dare to provoke it easily. Wu Ling, eking crush it with one claw. Countless warriors were discussing animatedly as they looked enviously at Li Lingtian, who was riding on the multicolored beast. Li Lingtian was carrying a snow-white rabbit while riding on the mighty multicolored beast. He instantly became the focus of all the warriors. I heard that senior brother Li killed a martial arts grandmaster when he came out of Hidden Dragon Island. Who in Sky Cloud sect is his match now? Disciple? What kind of joke was this? Senior brother Li is now the Sky Pavilion Master. Even the elders of the Martial King realm have to be polite when they see him. Sky Pavilion Master? Wouldn't that mean that his status is almost the same as the sect masters? The status of the Sky Pavilion Master is extraordinary, but his status is not as high as the sect master. This status is very special and has nothing to do with the position of the sect master. Indeed, the Sky Pavilion Master is the same as the Valley Master. As long as he doesn't go against the sect, he won't be restricted by the sect. Li Lingtian's multicolored beast ignored all the warriors and walked right past them. Its powerful demonic chi pushed all the warriors away. Shweta was bragging to a few warrior disciples in the square. He had obtained quite a number of monster beast inner cores in the Sky Mountain range some time ago, and had now reached Tier 7 warrior. Shweta, you said Li Lingtian is your friend. Are you bragging? That's right. Senior brother Li Lingtian is the #1 figure in the inner sect. He just came out from Hidden Dragon Island a few days ago and is a genius that has shocked countless forces. Senior brother Li's cultivation was not as high as mine in the past, but his strength is terrifying. He should be cultivating during this period of time. Shweta chuckled. He knew that Li Lingtian was no longer the warrior he used to be but the Tianyu Pavilion Master. His strength was astounding, and he had not seen him since he returned. See, such powerful demonic power. Zhang Feng felt a shocking demonic power. Immediately after, the demonic power pressed him to the ground and he couldn't move. The other dozen warriors, including a few warrior spirit disciples, were the same. They knelt on the ground in the face of this demonic power. Shweta was the same. Facing such terrifying demonic power, he didn't even have the will to resist. The martial arts grandmaster-like demonic beasts and martial artists and martial spirits were like ants. The pressure directly crushed them to death. Shweta, why are you alone? Where are they? A voice rang out. The voice was extremely familiar. Shweta forcefully exerted his strength and wanted to raise his head. However, in front of the multicolored beast, he had no chance at all. This voice was very familiar, but he couldn't recall it at the moment. Just as he was about to get angry, the powerful demonic power pressure disappeared. Senior brotherly, I knew it. Who would have such a powerful demonic beast that dared to mess with me? Shweta shouted out loud when he saw Li Lingtian's figure. His face was filled with excitement. A few days ago, he had heard rumors from the sect that Li Lingtian had a powerful mystical beast. Now that he had seen it for himself, he finally understood what it meant to be powerful. After Li Lingtian left the multicolored beast and Li Lingtian's interaction during this period of time had reached the point where they were connected. The suppression was withdrawn, allowing all the warriors to feel a sense of relief. Fuck, your cultivation has improved quite a bit. You're already a Tier 7 warrior. Li Lingtian punched Shweta with a smile on his face, a happy smile. Greetings, Pavilion Master. Greetings, Senior Brotherly. All the warriors stood up. Warrior spirits addressed Li Lingtian as Pavilion Master, while warrior spirit disciples addressed him as Senior Brother Li Lingtian. Don't you feel bad if you don't attack me? You're already a Tier 7 warrior spirit, while I'm only a Tier 7 warrior. Naturally, Shweta was unable to discern Li Lingtian's cultivation base. However, He was not the least bit jealous that Li Lingtian had attained Tier 7 warrior spirit. In his opinion, Li Lingtian's terrifying cultivation speed was normal. Oh, Qing Yun seems to have left Sky Cloud Sect to visit his relatives. Junior sister Ling was also picked up by the family a few days ago. I'm the only one here. Shweta noticed Li Lingtian's searching gaze and understood that he was looking for Qing Yun and Shangguan Linger. So that's how it is. Oh right, this pill is for you. In the future, you can go to the Sky Peak to cultivate. I'm a little lonely there alone. Li Lingtian handed the 2 jade bottles to Shweta before he sat on the multicolored beast and galloped off into the distance in the direction of the myriad demon valley. In the blink of an eye, Li Lingtian's figure disappeared, and so did the multicolored beast's aura. Countless disciples were shocked, excited, and even more envious. Congratulations, Senior Brother Shweta. In the future, with the protection of the Sky Pavilion Master, Senior Brother Li, your future will definitely be boundless. Zhan Feng and the others looked at Shweta with envy. Most disciples were only outer disciples and outer disciples. Even inner disciples would find it hard to survive. Now that he had the Sky Pavilion Master to take care of him, his future was bright. Moreover, Li Lingtian's reputation was well known in Sky Cloud Sect. Naturally, everyone was envious of him for cultivating with such a genius. Previously, they did not take Shweta seriously at all. Now that Li Lingtian had spoken, all the warriors were extremely polite. Hee. Shweta chuckled. A trace of confusion appeared in his eyes, making it hard for others to see through him. However, this gaze quickly disappeared, and he became extremely relaxed. Li Lingtian left the plaza and headed straight for the myriad demon valley's Tang Ziming's residence. The multicolored beast general concealed its aura, but even so, its tall and mighty appearance still frightened countless warriors. Yunming Restaurant was the place where Tang Ziming and her sister lived and cultivated. It was a quiet cultivation place. There were several powerful figures in the Tang family who were elders in Sky Cloud Sect. Their status was also extraordinary. Therefore, the place where Tang Ziming and her sister cultivated was not something that other inner sect disciples could compare to. Li Lingtian leaped off the multicolored beast after arriving at Yunming Restaurant and headed inside. He had been to this place many times before, so he was naturally familiar with it. It's you. A sweet voice rang out and reached Li Lingtian's ears. Li Lingtian was stunned. The voice was familiar, but it did not sound friendly. Chapter 67, Tang Qinyue. Chapter 67, Tang Qinyue. Tang Qinyue, Tang Zimking's elder sister, was 2 or 3 years older than Tang Ziming. She was at the age of peerless beauty. She was dressed in green and stood gracefully in the pavilion. Sister Qinyue. Li Ling and Tang Qinyue nodded as a form of greeting. However, she didn't know what she had done to offend this young lady to be so unfriendly. It's not good after seeing you. Tang Qinyue stared at Li Lingtian. He was a Tier 9 peak warrior spirit super genius. Even among Sky Cloud Sect disciples, he was one of the strongest. Duanmu Qing was a few levels lower than Tang Qinyue, but a top-notch genius like Tang Qinyue did not want to enter such a dangerous place. The disciples who entered Hidden Dragon Island were all geniuses, but the sect would not allow the super geniuses who were at the seed level to enter Hidden Dragon Island. When did I offend Sister Qinyue? Please forgive me. Where's Meng Meng? Li Lingtian smiled inwardly. This sister of Tang Zimking's was definitely beautiful and was not inferior to Tang Ziming. However, she had quite a temper. Were all girls like this? Humph, I heard that you've already reached Tier 7 warrior spirit. Let's see how capable you are. Meng Meng has already returned to Sky Dragon City. As soon as Tang Qinyue finished her sentence, she raised her snow-white hand and a terrifying force shot toward Li Lingtian. The force was imbued with pure yin qi and was extremely fierce and domineering. Yin body. Li Lingtian was shocked. Ever since his flaming sacred body was activated, he had become more aware of the mystical physiques in this world. This was because mystical physiques were often many times stronger than ordinary martial souls. Knowing oneself and knowing the enemy, he would be victorious in every battle. He did not want to fail miserably in the gutter. He didn't expect Tang Qingyue to have the body of Yin. The body of Yin was a pure Yin body. Cultivating a Yin technique would yield twice the result with half the effort, and its power would be unparalleled. As he spoke, he casually waved his hand, and his sleeve directly offset this force, turning it into a fake and disappearing into the air. His entire movement was like flowing water, extremely unrestrained. This action surprised Tang Qingyue. In front of her, not to mention a Tier 7 warrior spirit, even an ordinary Tier 3 warrior king would not be her match. She did not expect this disciple, who was known as trash, to be able to negate her attack so easily. Since Meng Meng isn't here, I'll take my leave first. Tang Qingyue was a beauty, a peerless beauty. However, Li Lingtian did not dare to provoke her because she was Tang Ziming's sister. Moreover, she seemed to have a marriage alliance with a mysterious and powerful family. Naturally, he would not provoke her. After saying that, he turned around and left. He couldn't stay in this place for long. If other people saw him, there might be some misunderstanding. If Tang Ziming was here, it would be fine. Now that Tang Ziming wasn't here, he couldn't stay in this place. Leaving just like that? Is it that simple? Tang Qingyue was stunned when she saw Li Lingtian's expression. Her expression turned strange as she moved to Li Lingtian's side in a flash. She leaned forward and her delicate body was almost leaning against Li Lingtian's body. Li Lingtian could only feel a gust of fragrance assaulting him. The scent of a virgin's body entered his nose, causing his blood vessels to swell. He was a normal man and he could not find a peerless beauty like this in his previous life. Now that he was so close to her, it was only natural that he was tempted. However, he was soon jolted awake. Worried that Tang Qingyue was acting strangely, he quickly ran outside and finally rode the multicolored beast. He came and left even faster. The multicolored beast was puzzled as it did not know what powerful and terrifying existence could make Li Lingtian so flustered. Hee, aren't you a genius? You're known as the #1 genius in the inner sect, Sky Pavilion Master. Trouble is coming for you. As she watched Li Lingtian leave in a sorry state, Tang Qingyue's initially odd expression turned charming. She was like a blooming lily, causing one's heart to tremble. She looked at a pavilion in the distance and muttered to herself. Then, she turned around and left the pavilion, leaving behind a beautiful back. You're courting death. A faint voice rang out from the pavilion Tang Qingyue was looking at. The voice carried a hint of anger before it disappeared. Li Lingtian returned to Tianyu Peak in disappointment. Tang Ziming, Shangguan Linger, and Cheng Yun had all returned to the family. He felt that something was amiss, but he could not pinpoint what was amiss. Heaven flipping seal, low earth level skill. Li Lingtian looked at the jade slip in his hand. The information in the jade slip was transmitted to his mind, and his face lit up with excitement. He did not expect Tian Wuji's storage pouch to contain an earth-tier skill. Li Lingtian had discovered the sky-turning palm by checking Tian Wuji's storage pouch. There were countless precious herbs and millions of spiritual stones in Tian Wuji's storage pouch. There were also a few supreme spiritual weapons and some magical jade talismans. Li Lingtian had kept all of them well so that he could use them when the time came. What he valued the most was the sky-turning palm. There was also a token from the Tianjin Empire's royal family, a token that symbolized one's identity. There was also a gray wooden token that was emitting a netherworld aura, causing Li Lingtian to feel slightly uncomfortable. As for the rest, he hastily packed them up and kept the wooden token. The thing that could make a rank 5 martial arts Grandmaster Tian shall provoke Sky Dragon Empire should be these rare medicinal herbs, or this wooden token. The Heaven Flipping Seal was a magical hand seal that relied on the power of heaven and earth to suppress martial artists. Its power was shocking, but very few people could master it. Otherwise, Tian Wuji would have used it. As for the dominating Heaven Fist, Li Lingtian had already comprehended it once. It was also a low Earth tier skill with a domineering power that was several times stronger than the flaming Divine Fist. The power of heaven and earth. Borrowing the power to suppress. This is the power of the Heaven Flipping Seal. Li Lingtian's hands moved slowly. Suddenly, the world changed and became extremely strange. Streams of strange energy surged toward Li Lingtian. Immediately, a terrifying force of 10 meters in size gathered around Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian flipped his hand and gently pressed it into the distance. Rumble! A wave of heaven and earth's might crashed down fiercely. A stone with a radius of 10 meters on Tianyu Peak was instantly crushed into ashes. The sheer power of the force shocked even Li Lingtian. Fuck, it's powerful, but the true chi consumption is too terrifying. Earth-rank skills are indeed not simple. Li Lingtian could feel that 1/3 of the true chi in his body had been depleted. If this continued, his true chi would be completely depleted after he executed the 3 heaven-up stances. With such a heaven-flipping seal, my strength has increased by a large margin. The heaven-up seal was a natural force, but it was more of an earth-type skill. After Li Lingtian broke through to warrior spirit, he had mastered an earth-type martial soul, which included ice-type, fire-type, and earth-type martial souls. With his earth martial soul, he could cultivate the heaven-up seal faster and more efficiently. The power he displayed was also incomparably powerful. Chapter 68 Chapter 68 Southern Sky City. Chapter 68 Southern Sky City. Time passed by quickly as Li Lingtian cultivated on Tianyu Peak. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. In just 1 month, he was a Tier 8 warrior spirit at the peak of perfection and was only 1 step away from Tier 9. Shweta had been at Tianyu Peak for some time now. With the rich spirit chi and Li Lingtian's elixirs, he was now a Tier 8 peak warrior. A day ago, Li Lingtian received a voice transmission from the sect. It was said that Sky Dragon Empire's once-in-a-decade prodigy role competition would be held in 3 months. As Sky Cloud Sect's genius disciple, Li Lingtian had also become one of the 10 spots in Sky Cloud Sect. This time, although only Sky Dragon Empire was participating in the competition, the 4 major sects, the 10 great clans, and some other forces of varying sizes were all given spots. Moreover, this competition was even more powerful than the geniuses who entered Hidden Dragon Island. That was because the prodigy role referred to martial artists below the age of 50. As long as they were geniuses, they were all martial kings. There were even super geniuses below the age of 30. Li Lingtian was not interested in the news. However, he received a message from the sect disciples that the competition had another purpose, which was to select a prince consort for the eldest princess, Nangong Mingyue. A faint smile appeared on Li Lingtian's face. In the past, Li Lingtian had pursued Nangong Mingyue but was rejected. He understood that his soul in this life belonged to one person. Since he, Li Lingtian, and the Saint Lord of Jiuyang were one person, Li Lingtian and the Saint Lord of Jiuyang's matters were his. This woman looked down on him in front of him. Now, he could play with her and see who was the genius. It's time to go out for a walk. I'm still lacking some pill formulas. Li Lingtian looked at Tianyu Peak. After giving some pills to Shweta, he packed up briefly and left Tianyu Peak with Little White and the multicolored beast before dashing out of Sky Cloud Sect. Originally, he was from Sky Cloud Sect. With his status, it was not a problem for him to get 1 or 2 pill formulas. However, he did not want Sky Cloud Sect to let him know how to refine pills. Moreover, men had ambitions. They had been in this world for more than a year. Even if they went to Hidden Dragon Island, they would still be in the wilderness and mountains. They had never really come into contact with this world. Since there was still a month left, he could go out and take a look. The Southern Sky City is indeed powerful. In 3 days, Li Lingtian sprinted all the way to the Southern Sky City, which was the closest to Sky Cloud Sect. He felt refreshed as he looked at the huge city. This city was many times larger than the cities in his previous life. The Southern Sky Great City had a radius of 1,000 kilometers. Outside the city, there were roads everywhere, or barren mountains and wild mountains, where demon beasts roamed freely. Only in the city could one feel safe, but if one wanted to enter the city, they had to pay a certain fee. Sir, you need to pay 100 lower spiritual stones to enter the Southern Sky City. 2. A Tier 3 warrior disciple who was patrolling the city gate greeted Li Lingtian when he saw his arrival. His face was extremely polite. Li Lingtian's cultivation was a warrior spirit powerhouse, and his bearing was extraordinary. It was obvious that he was not someone to be trifled with. 100 spirit stones. Li Lingtian was taken aback, but he quickly took out his storage pouch and handed the 100 lower spiritual stones to the warrior disciple. He was new to this place and would not cause trouble over 100 spiritual stones. He had more than 30 million spiritual stones in his divine dragon ring, so he naturally did not care about this. However, he still used his storage pouch when he was outside. He did not reveal his gold and silver. This was the most basic experience in his previous life. He sized up the warriors patrolling at the city gate. The weakest among them was a Tier 3 warrior, and there were more than 30 of them in total. The leader was a Tier 5 warrior spirit disciple. Sir, this is your identification. With this waste token, you can enter and exit the city gate as you please, but only for a year. The warrior disciple said politely as he handed a jade token to Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian took a look at the jade token and walked into the city in a carefree manner. He then found a quieter inn to stay in. In the inn, Li Lingtian rested in peace after casting 2 simple restriction spells. He was excited to be connected to this world for the first time. I heard that there are many good things in the auction in Southern Sky City. Brother Zhang, do you want to go and take a look? For such an auction, with our strength and wealth, we can't even afford to pay the entrance fee. Even if we enter, we'll just be watching the show. The 2 Tier 3 warrior spirits were talking loudly in the restaurant. Suddenly, countless warriors surrounded them and looked at Zhang Xiao and Qing Ming curiously. The restaurant was always the most well-informed place. Countless martial artists gathered here, and information spread everywhere. Indeed, it seems that the entrance fee for this auction is 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. However, there are many precious items inside. Warriors from several cities near South Heaven City will participate in this auction. Qing Ming took a sip of wine and saw countless martial artists surrounding him. He immediately became extremely pleased and told them all the information he had obtained. The entrance fee is 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. Didn't the auction house earn a lot this time? Yeah, even if 1,000 people enter, it's still 1,000,000 low-grade spirit stones. I wonder when the auction will start. I think it's 5 days later, but if you want to enter, you have to make a reservation first. The auction house incident was a topic of conversation for the crowd. In a corner of the restaurant, Li Lingtian's expression was calm, but he was extremely interested. He had managed to catch up. In such an auction house, no one knew the origin of the items being auctioned, nor did anyone investigate the origin of the items. Moreover, the degree of rarity of the items was simply rare in some market cities. After inquiring about the location of the auction house, he left the restaurant and walked towards the auction house. The Southern Sky Auction House was known as the most powerful faction in the Southern Sky City. The auction house had always existed in the Southern Sky City. No one dared to trace the origins of the items that appeared in the Southern Sky Auction House, nor did anyone dare to cause trouble here. Outside the auction house, countless warriors were trading cultivation supplies, pills, inner cores, medicinal herbs, weapons. As long as it was useful to warriors, they could find it here. Li Lingtian wandered around casually before heading toward a shop. "Welcome to the Southern Sky Treasure Shop. May I know what you need?" When Li Lingtian arrived, a warrior came up to him and greeted him politely. Whether it was in his previous life or this life, Li Lingtian had always realized that the customer came first. The staff working here had sharp eyes. One look at Li Lingtian's temperament and they knew he was a rich man. Naturally, such a person would be treated as a VIP. Chapter 69 Chapter 69 Demon Beast Egg 1 Chapter 69 Demon Beast Egg 1 As the waiter introduced Li Lingtian to the precious items in the shop, he led Li Lingtian to a coffee table in the shop and sat down. He served him some fragrant tea and waited for Li Lingtian to speak. "Can you make the decision here? Tell your manager to come and see me." As Li Lingtian sipped his tea, he spoke unhurriedly as if he was talking about something insignificant. However, he was unaware that the expression on the waiter's face was rapidly changing. "If you want to buy the items in the shop, I can definitely make the decision," the shop assistant said politely, but his tone was not as pleasant as it was at the beginning. This was because the shop was paid commission for their work. The more customers they served, the more they earned. Now that Li Lingtian looked down on him and wanted to find a manager, he was naturally displeased. "Can you make the decision for a business worth millions?" Li Lingtian's sharp gaze was directed at the shop assistant. His eyes were filled with ice and fire, causing the shop assistant to tremble. The way he looked at Li Lingtian was like a glacier and a fiery hell. "Please wait for a moment. I'll go and find the manager right away." Indeed, he did not dare to make the decision for $1 million deal. Even if he could, he would not dare to entertain someone like Li Lingtian. The shop assistant almost ran away. He didn't want to stay here for even a moment. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared and walked through the wooden door at the back of the shop. Li Lingtian scanned the surroundings with his divine consciousness. The store was well stocked with elixirs, herbs, materials, and weapons. However, they were all very ordinary. There were only a few spirit weapons and second-grade medicinal pills. Even so, they were extremely precious. In less than 5 minutes, he heard footsteps coming from inside. Through his divine consciousness, Li Lingtian noticed an elderly man in his 50s and a shop assistant walking out. "I wonder which distinguished guest has arrived. Sun Zhong, please forgive me for not welcoming you from afar." The old man apologized as soon as he walked out. He was extremely tactful. Even if he was angry, he could only endure it when he heard someone greet him like this. However, when he saw that Li Lingtian was only a 15 or 16-year-old youth, his expression turned unnatural. Could this young man be the one who made the $1 million deal? Was this not a joke? Or was he here to cause trouble at the Southern Heaven Treasure Shop? Li Lingtian nodded as a form of greeting. However, he continued sipping his tea after that and did not notice Sun Zhong and his friend's expressions. "Sir, this is the manager of our Southern Heaven Treasure Shop. Just now, you said that there was a business worth millions. Is that true?" The shop assistant was stunned by Li Lingtian's actions. How dare he ignore their manager? Was he courting death? $1 million business? Even a martial arts grandmaster might not be able to do $1 million business. He was merely a warrior spirit now. In their hearts, they had already regarded Li Lingtian as someone who was looking for trouble. The tea is not bad. We can start now. Is it here? After a moment, Li Lingtian put down the fragrant tea in his hand and spoke calmly. Sun Zhong and the shop assistant were immediately speechless. May I know what you want to trade? Sun Zhong calmed himself down and tried his best to calm himself down. He did not want to go berserk in front of this young man. He might even kill this Tier 8 warrior spirit. Here. Yes, Li Lingtian replied softly. He took out a storage pouch and tossed it to Sun Zhong. A Tier 4 warrior king would have been treated with respect by other warrior spirits, but Li Lingtian did not take it seriously. Sun Zhong took the storage pouch nonchalantly and glanced at Li Lingtian. What good could a warrior spirit disciple's storage pouch possibly have? However, after his divine sense entered the storage bag, his expression kept changing, making the shop assistant curious. He didn't know what could make a Martial King-level manager lose his composure like this. A Tier 4 monster beast inner core and a Tier 4 monster beast egg. Sun Zhong exclaimed. Even if he was a Martial King, it was rare to see a Tier 4 monster beast inner core. Tier 4 monster beast inner cores were the main ingredients for refining Tier 4 and Tier 5 pills. Not only were Tier 4 demonic beasts powerful, but even martial arts grandmasters might not be able to kill them. To see a Tier 4 inner core was simply a fortuitous encounter. He did not expect that there were actually more than 10 of them in this storage bag. What shocked him was not that. What was even more shocking was the baby Tier 4 demonic beast egg. A baby Tier 4 demonic beast egg could hatch a Tier 4 demonic beast. If a warrior had a fey beast as a combat partner, their strength would definitely increase by a large margin. Fey beasts were usually stronger than humans. If a warrior spirit powerhouse used a Tier 1 fey beast as a combat partner, it would not be of much help at all. If they obtained a Tier 2 fey beast as a combat partner, it would be needless to say. However, it was impossible to get a demon beast with the same cultivation as him to be his combat partner. More importantly, even if they could work together to kill a high-level demon beast, it was impossible to subdue a high-level demon beast to be his combat partner. The only way was to raise the young ones from a young age. In that case they would become battle partners. However, the eggs of young demon beasts were rare, countless times more difficult than the inner cores of demon beasts. A Tier 3 baby egg was already a rare item, let alone a Tier 4 baby demonic beast egg. Usually, a Tier 2 baby egg could be sold for 10,000 spirit stones, and a Tier 3 baby egg could be sold for 100,000 or even hundreds of thousands. A Tier 4 baby egg was obtained by chance last time, and was finally bought by a powerful Wu Zong for 5 million. How is it? Li Lingtian replied calmly. The demonic beast inner core and demonic beast were extremely precious to others, but they were nothing in front of him. As long as it was a Tier 4 demonic beast, Little White could subdue it immediately. Besides the multicolored beast, there was also a Tier 4 level 7 jade-eyed beast in Li Lingtian's divine dragon ring. However, Li Lingtian rarely took it out. Demon beast eggs were meant to be hatched and nurtured into battle partners. Li Lingtian did not have to go through such trouble. With just a roar from Little White, countless demon beasts would submit to him. Little White had found 2 nests of these demon beast eggs in the Divine Dragon Palace on Hidden Dragon Island. There were a total of 13 eggs. He could exchange 8 of them for something. 14 grade 4 inner cores were also part of his wealth. He had no use for these inner cores, so he took them out to exchange for spirit stones and materials. Li Lingtian was secretly pleased when he saw Sun Zhong's expression. He had a lot of things in his divine dragon ring, but they were treated like treasures in the eyes of others. Not bad, not bad. I didn't expect you to have so many inner cores and young eggs. Please take a step forward. We'll discuss the price. Sun Zhong reluctantly returned the storage pouch to Li Lingtian. He did not dare to treat Li Lingtian as a pushover. In his heart, he was certain that the eggs did not belong to Li Lingtian. Instead, some powerful warrior had asked Li Lingtian to make a trade. Following that, the three of them moved into a private room. The waiter served them fragrant tea while Li Lingtian sipped the tea with a calm expression. Sun Zhong was extremely anxious, but he did not want to disturb Li Lingtian. Chapter 70 Auction House. Chapter 70 Auction House. Let's put it this way. There are 14 Tier 4 inner cores and 8 Tier 4 eggs here. I'll exchange a portion of them for spirit stones and a portion for some items. The item is a pill formula of grade 3 and above. Sir, you seem to be able to weigh the price. The Southern Sky Auction House is unable to accept these transactions, but the other auction houses are very welcoming. Li Lingtian smiled and put down the fragrant tea in his hand. He looked at Sun Zhong as if he was a warrior king's disciple. No problem, no problem. The Southern Sky Auction House's price is the most fair. Please rest assured. I'll give you this price according to the auction price. How about it? Sun Zhong muttered to himself for a moment. If he could auction off these demon beast cores and eggs in the Southern Sky Auction House, it would be of great help to the reputation of the auction house. Even if he didn't earn money, he would at least earn fame. Tier 4 inner cores and baby eggs were precious items. At that thought, he asked tentatively as he looked at Li Lingtian. The calmer Li Lingtian was, the more he believed that the person behind Li Lingtian was more powerful. Name a price. Let me see. Li Lingtian replied nonchalantly with a smile on his face. Level 4 inner core, 200,000 low-grade spirit stones each. Level 4 baby egg, 2,500,000 spirit stones each. How about it? A third-grade pill formula. You can trade it in the auction house. There are quite a few good things in this auction. Moreover, there are a few powerful martial artists who have come. I believe there will definitely be something that you need. Sun Zhong pondered for a long time before he decided to give Li Lingtian a compromise based on the price of the inner core and the egg. This way, the auction house would not lose much even if they did not make a profit. Okay, deal. Li Lingtian glanced at Sun Zhong and agreed without hesitation. Sun Zhong dared not lower the price based on his experience and knowledge. Besides, this was the only company in the Southern Sky City that could take on such a big business. Sir, please wait for a moment. I'll go up to get the spirit stones and discuss with the others. Sun Zhong could not help but feel a little regretful when he saw Li Lingtian agree to the deal. However, he soon realized that if he were to lower the price, the other party might reject the deal immediately. Although this young man looked to be only 15 or 16 years old, he gave off the feeling of an old fox that was a few hundred years old. A few hundred years? Although Li Lingtian was 16 years old, his 20 years of experience and wisdom from his previous life were comparable to this world. Soon, Sun Zhong left the private room and headed outside. The number was not small but shocking. Although he was a martial king and was the manager, Li Lingtian believed that he was only the manager on the surface. The real manager was definitely not as simple as he seemed. The shop assistant waited anxiously in the private room. Li Lingtian closed his eyes and ignored the shop assistant. After 10 minutes, Sun Zhong returned with a smile on his face. He began to trade with Li Lingtian. This time, he had 14 Tier 4 inner cores and 8 Tier 4 baby eggs for a total of 22,800,000 spiritual stones. Sir, this is the VIP card of our Southern Sky Auction House. As long as you spend in the Southern Sky Market Square, Treasure Gathering Shop, or the auction house, you will be able to enjoy a 20% discount. The VIP card will allow you to enjoy a private room in the auction house. After the transaction, Sun Zhong handed a golden card to Li Lingtian with a smile on his face. This was an opportunity to befriend Li Lingtian, so Li Lingtian accepted the card without hesitation and kept it in his storage pouch. He understood that Sun Zhong's card was not for him but for the so-called powerful warrior behind him. However, only he knew what Li Lingtian's backer was. Following that, Li Lingtian left the treasure shop and strolled around the other shops in southern Sky City within a day. He sold all the spirit weapons that he could not use and earned nearly 3 million spiritual stones in one go dash. Now, he had more than 60 million spiritual stones in his divine dragon ring. Even a martial king or a martial grandmaster would not be able to fork out so many spiritual stones, let alone a warrior spirit. After a day of running around, Li Lingtian had gained some insight into this world. The intelligence of humans in this world was similar to that of the ancient Tang dynasty in his previous life. Moreover, the way they dressed in the divine martial continent was no different from the Tang dynasty. If it weren't for the fact that this place was called the divine martial continent and the powerful martial souls and martial artists, he would have thought that he was in the Tang dynasty. He returned to the inn and meditated to rest. During the day, he would go out for a stroll to familiarize himself with this world. This way, he could quickly integrate with this world. Time passed quickly. 5 days had passed, and the Southern Sky Auction House's auction had begun. In the evening, Li Lingtian packed his things and headed to the Southern Sky Auction House. Powerhouses had been coming to the Southern Sky City over the past few days, and Li Lingtian had encountered quite a number of martial king powerhouses along the way. There were even martial arts grandmasters who had appeared. Needless to say, they were all here to participate in this auction. There should be items that attracted martial arts grandmasters in this auction. With a faint smile on his face, Li Lingtian walked leisurely toward the auction house. In less than half an hour, he arrived at the entrance of the auction house and saw many warriors queuing up to enter. However, when entering, one had to show the entry token. Without the token, even if one used spirit stones to buy it now, it would not work. Yes, there are really quite a number of experts coming this time. Li Lingtian looked at the countless warrior spirits, warrior kings, and martial grandmasters and sighed in his heart. Back when he was in Sky Cloud Sect, he had always thought that Sky Cloud Sect was one of the 4 great super sects and was powerful. However, when he saw the outside world, he realized that many hidden clans and itinerant cultivators were equally powerful. The warrior spirits who came here were at least Tier 6 warrior spirit. There were even a bunch of warrior kings and quite a few martial grandmasters. If they were in Sky Cloud Sect, these martial kings would be elders. But here they were just ordinary warriors. Please show me your jade token. When a Tier 3 warrior king saw Li Lingtian, he reminded him that a Tier 8 warrior spirit was at the bottom of the pyramid. Take it. Li Lingtian extended his hand and handed the gold card over. The warrior king powerhouse's eyes lit up immediately and a respectful expression appeared on his face. He no longer dared to look down on this warrior spirit disciple. Sir, please come in. This disciple will lead you to the private room. The warrior king powerhouse checked the gold card. This gold card was a VIP card. Even an ordinary martial arts grandmaster would not be able to obtain this VIP card. He did not expect it to appear on a warrior spirit disciple. The VIP card was not fake. Immediately, he gave a warrior spirit disciple beside him a look. The warrior spirit disciple stepped forward and bowed respectfully. He led the way in front, causing countless martial artists who were lining up to be extremely surprised. Li Lingtian entered the auction house and saw that there were thousands of seats. The entire auction house was extremely spacious, and there were already countless warriors waiting inside. He followed the warrior spirit disciple all the way to the private room on the second floor. The private room had a clear view of the auction hall below. The feeling of being in a commanding position was indeed not bad. Chapter 71 Chapter 71 Fire Spirit Sword. Chapter 71 Fire Spirit Sword. Li Lingtian entered the private room. It was about the same size as the private rooms he had visited before. It was simple but not exquisite. Instead, it was elegantly decorated with a comfortable animal skin sofa and an exquisite coffee table. "Greetings, young master." After the warrior spirit disciples left, a girl in her 20s walked in with fragrant tea and some snacks in her hand. She politely greeted Li Lingtian before placing the things in her hands on the coffee table. Without Li Lingtian's permission, they stood at the side and waited. This was the treatment of a VIP. As long as they had money and status, it would be a pleasure to attend the auction. Li Lingtian leaned back on the sofa, enjoying the fragrant tea and delicious snacks as he waited for the auction to begin. An hour later, the entire auction house was filled with seats. Li Lingtian's divine perception scanned the entire auction house, intentionally or unintentionally. Most of the people who came were warrior spirit disciples and a few warrior kings. There were more than 30 martial ancestor realm experts. If these experts formed a sect, it would be comparable to Sky Cloud sect. In front of the auction house, a platform slowly rose up. The platform was 5 meters high and 3 meters wide. An old man in green stood on it, emitting a powerful aura. He was a Tier 5 martial arts grandmaster, and his cultivation was similar to perfected Tian Zhao's. In such an auction, only martial arts grandmasters could suppress the order here. Welcome to the Southern Sky Auction House. I am Sima Ling, the host of this auction. The old man said loudly with a faint smile on his face. After saying that, he cupped his fists and greeted the martial artists in the auction hall. I believe that everyone knows the rules of the Southern Sky Auction House. The highest bidder wins. Now, let us begin the auction for the first item. After Sima Ling finished speaking, a young girl dragged a jade plate up the stairs. The jade plate was covered with a red brocade cloth. It was unknown what the brocade cloth was made of, but it could completely block the divine senses of martial artists. The first item is a superior grade spiritual weapon. It's a fire spiritual weapon with a fire attribute. Warriors with fire martial souls can greatly increase their strength. The benefits are obvious. The starting price is 10,000 lower spiritual stones, and each increment is 1,000 lower spiritual stones. Sima Ling opened the door unhurriedly and saw an exquisite fiery red longsword lying inside. The longsword was emitting a dense fire element spirit chi. How could a warrior not know how powerful a superior grade spirit weapon was? It was just that it was not cheap. 11,000 spirit stones. 12,000 spirit stones. 13,000 spirit stones. After Sima Ling finished speaking, the competition below started to get intense. Not to mention a superior grade spirit weapon, even an inferior grade spirit weapon was something that warriors would fight over. They would often fight to the death for an inferior grade spirit weapon. A superior grade spirit weapon was extremely powerful. Not only did a warrior need a powerful cultivation base, but they also needed a powerful weapon. Two people with the same cultivation base, one using an ordinary weapon and the other using an inferior grade spirit weapon, had a 99% chance of winning if they used an inferior grade spirit weapon. It could be seen that a good spirit weapon could double the strength of its owner. However, spirit weapons were rare and very few people could take them out. It could also be said that there was a price but no supply. 37,000 spirit stones. 38,000 spirit stones. The price skyrocketed. In less than a minute, the price had reached 4,000. The competitors were not only warrior spirit disciples, but also martial king powerhouses. Only martial grandmaster powerhouses did not compete. Martial arts grandmaster powerhouses usually had their own spiritual weapons or even profound level weapons. 163,000 low-grade spirit stones. In the end, a Tier 9 warrior spirit at the peak of the Great Fulfillment, a fire warrior, used 163,000 lower spiritual stones to obtain an upper spiritual weapon, the fire spirit sword. A warrior with a fire warrior soul would definitely be twice as powerful when using a spiritual weapon. Congratulations to number 170 for obtaining the fire spirit sword. Sima Ling asked the young lady beside him to bring the fire spirit sword in front of warrior 170. The two of them began to trade. In the auction house, the next auction would only be held after the items were traded. Young master, these are the 10 items from the Southern Sky auction house tonight. Do you need anything? The maid handed a jade slip to Li Lingtian and greeted him respectfully. Although this young man was about her age, he was definitely not a simple person to be able to enter the VIP room. Let me see. Li Lingtian took the jade slip from the maid's hand with one hand and injected his divine consciousness into it. He memorized all 10 items in it and was immediately pleasantly surprised. It wasn't a secret to know the items being auctioned in advance. However, those who could know in advance were definitely extraordinary figures. Only VIPs and some top-notch experts could know. This was because they could focus on competing for the items they needed. They wouldn't waste their energy and spirit stones on unimportant items. This way, those who knew about the 10 items could measure their wealth and determine what they could compete for. He returned the jade slip to the servant girl with a relaxed expression. With his wealth and spirit stones, there was no one who could compete with him to auction off the items here. Following that, Li Lingtian enjoyed the delicacies and desserts while watching the competition below. The maid beside him looked at Li Lingtian in confusion. This is the 5th item. I believe that many of you don't need the 5th item, but this item is indeed very precious. The alchemists in the auction house will definitely be very satisfied with this. The first few items were better than the last. Other than the first superior grade spirit weapon, the others were all peerless spirit weapons. Their prices were several times higher than superior grade spirit weapons. The most powerful one was a peerless spirit weapon of the metal element, which was worth as much as 700,000 yuan. This spirit weapon landed in the storage bag of an 8th-level martial king. Sima Ling smiled. In the auction house, the items would get more valuable the further they went. The first few items were just a warm-up. This item was passed down by Martial Emperor Hao Tian 500 years ago. He took out a jade slip from the jade plate. The jade slip emitted a faint ancient aura. The martial artists below all let out a breath of cold air, and their eyes revealed excitement. Li Lingtian was stunned as well. Although he knew what this jade slip was, he did not expect it to be passed down by Martial Emperor Hao Tian. It was passed down by Martial Emperor Hao Tian. Martial Emperor Hao Tian is the #1 expert in the Azure continent. He's also the only level 6 spirit alchemist. He's known as the #1 person in the Eastern Spirit Azure continent. That's right. Martial Emperor Hao Tian also relied on alchemy skills to reach the rank of a Martial Emperor. Could it be that this jade slip is an alchemy technique passed down by Martial Emperor Hao Tian? It can't be Martial Emperor Hao Tian's cultivation technique, right? Martial Emperor's cultivation techniques are all above Earth rank. All of a sudden, all the warriors exclaimed. Martial Emperor Hao Tian was a godlike existence in Eastern Spirit Azure continent. Although he left Eastern Spirit Azure continent in the end, no one in Eastern Spirit Azure continent could compare to Martial Emperor Hao Tian. This jade slip is a type of elixir refined by Martial Emperor Hao Tian. It's called the Blue Dust Elixir. The Tier 3 Blue Dust Elixir can instantly restore the true chi of a warrior spirit martial artist. It's useless against a warrior king. Sima Ling said excitedly. If someone managed to refine this pill, they would be rich. There were many restrictions for those below the warrior spirit level. However, in this world, there were the most number of warriors and warrior spirit. They would definitely become the target of all the warriors below the warrior spirit level. Chapter 72, Chapter 72, Blue Dust Pill Recipe. Chapter 72, Blue Dust Pill Recipe. Li Lingtian had obtained 3 blue dust pills previously. He had been searching for this pill formula to obtain the refinement method. He did not expect to encounter it here. He was already a Tier 8 warrior spirit now, and he did not have much time left to use the blue dust pill. However, if he could get his hands on this pill formula and comprehend it, the pills he refined would definitely shock countless warriors in the Green Continent. No matter which world it was, there were the most people at the bottom. The power of the bottom may not be large, but when united, it was a force that could not be ignored. The starting bid for the 3rd grade blue dust pill is 100,000 spirit stones. Each increment is 10,000 spirit stones. After Sima Ling finished speaking, the excited expressions on the faces of all the warriors below dimmed considerably. Although the blue dust pill was heaven-defying, it was also heaven-defying and difficult to refine. A grade 3 medicinal pill required at least an alchemy grandmaster. Even in this auction house, there weren't many alchemy grandmasters. Moreover, alchemy grandmasters already had no use for the blue dust pill. In other words, this pill formula could only be excited for a while. It was only pleasing to the eye but useless. Leo. Oh, low-grade spirit stones. After waiting for a moment, someone finally raised the price. Compared to the spirit weapons in front, the pill formula had almost become an unpopular item. Not many people were interested. In the private room, Li Lingtian saw a Tier 4 Martial King Elder bid through the window. With his mastery of alchemy and a sweep of his divine perception, he could tell that the Elder was an alchemy grandmaster. Alchemists possessed fire-type spirit chi and the spirituality of pills. Li Lingtian was the same, but few knew about it unless he was an alchemist. 120,000 low-grade spirit stones. Another old man raised the bid. He was also an alchemy grandmaster. It seemed that these alchemists were all here for the medicinal ingredients and pill formulas. 130,000 low-grade spirit stones. 140,000 low-grade spirit stones. In an instant, a total of 11 people competed for the pill formula of the 3rd grade blue dust pill. Among the 11 people, 7 were alchemy grandmasters, 2 were alchemy masters, and the remaining 2 were martial arts grandmasters. They were not alchemy masters. 410,000 low-grade spirit stones. Although there weren't many people competing, the competition for alchemists was very intense. These people were either alchemists or wuzongs. Alchemists were all extremely rich, and wuzongs naturally wouldn't lack spirit stones. Increase the bid. Li Lingtian said calmly before he gestured to the maid beside him and extended a finger. He then continued to enjoy the snack. Since he was a distinguished guest, there was naturally no need for him to do those things. He had a maid by his side, so it would be a waste not to use her. Young master wants to compete for this blue dust pill? 10,000? Servant Ling Yao looked at Li Lingtian with her bright eyes. A young man competing for this pill formula was no joke. Li Lingtian shook his head. If he had increased the bid by 10,000, he would not have bothered with them. 100,000. Ling Yao was taken aback. Everyone else had raised the bid by 10,000, yet this young master had raised it by 100,000. She was even more certain that Li Lingtian was just joking. She then asked Li Lingtian softly. Li Lingtian did not say anything but shook his head. He could not get this pill formula even with 100,000. A million. Ling Yao didn't know how she said it either. She didn't dare to imagine 1,000,000 at all. Just because he did not believe in it did not mean that others would not do the same. Li Lingtian nodded without the slightest change in his expression, as if he was indifferent to the matter. 1,000,000. Ling Yao called out softly. Although her voice was soft, it reached the ears of all the martial artists. This voice was no different from a clap of thunder. Others had increased the price by 10,000, but now the price was only 530,000. They did not expect someone to raise the price to 1,000,000 all of a sudden. 1,000,000? 1,000,000? You must be joking. 1,000,000 to buy a third-grade pill formula. Everyone looked at the private room on the second floor, but the window was blocked by a layer of transparent gauze, and their divine senses could not enter. All of a sudden, all the warriors in the auction house were stunned. This was 1,000,000, not 100 lower spiritual stones. A warrior spirit disciple could never dream of getting 1,000,000 in their lifetime. Even a warrior king would not be able to afford it. 1,010,000 low-grade spirit stones. There were countless martial artists who were shocked by the price of 1,000,000 spirit stones, but there were still people who increased the bid. To alchemists, there was nothing more interesting than medicinal herbs and pill formulas. 1,020,000 low-grade spirit stones. 1,030,000 low-grade spirit stones. 1,210,000 low-grade spirit stones. The 11 people did not have the slightest intention of giving up. The shock from before was quickly drowned out by the competition. A faint smile appeared on Li Lingtian's face. Only powerhouses and alchemists would understand the value of this pill formula. The pill formula was like a seed. If he were to refine a Tier 3 blue dust pill, it would be a shocking fortune. Increase the bid. He didn't know if anyone else could concoct a third-grade blue dust pill, but if he had the materials, he should be able to concoct it. The heaven and earth creation cauldron and the ancient alchemy techniques were all existences that shook the divine martial continent. The combination of the two and Li Lingtian's 21st century wisdom was a perfect combination. If he could not refine it, there would be very few people in the world who could refine the blue dust pill. When she spoke, she similarly didn't look at Ling Yao. She waved her right hand and stretched out 2 fingers. If Ling Yao still didn't understand this meaning, she wouldn't be a qualified maid. Ling Yao could not help but feel shocked when she saw Li Lingtian's bid. This young man was too mysterious. He could easily bid 1,000,000. What kind of concept was this? That young lady was not in love, let alone a rich, capable young man like Li Lingtian. No one would not admire him. When she saw Li Lingtian's tidying up, her heart pounded violently. If this continued, not only would she collapse, the warriors in the auction house would also collapse. 2,000,000 low-grade spirit stones. A crisp sound rang out. This time, the sound was much louder than the last time. This sound would be a shocking bomb at any time. 2,000,000. Him again. 2,000,000 low-grade spirit stones. Everyone was shocked to the point of being burnt on the outside and tender on the inside. They did not react for a long time. A third-grade pill formula would cost at most tens of thousands of low-grade spirit stones in other places. An ordinary third-grade pill formula would cost at most 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. However, he did not expect that someone would actually bid 2,000,000 for this pill formula. The price had increased by nearly 1,000,000 at a time. Was this still acceptable? Not only were all the warriors shocked, even Sima Ling was shocked. As a martial arts grandmaster, it was not difficult for him to take out 1,000,000 spirit stones. However, taking out so many at once was not so easy. Moreover, the other party's voice did not seem to care about the 2,000,000 spirit stones at all. He wondered who the person in the VIP room was. This was 2,000,000. Even if it was an ordinary expert, there would not be more than 50 people who could take out 2,000,000. Moreover, these people were all representatives of a sect or family, and they had gathered together to participate in the auction. I'll add 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. 1 million. If anyone bids higher than me, I'll give up. A martial arts grandmaster said lightly. He scanned the VIP room with his divine sense, but he could not see who was in the room. Moreover, the guests in the private room were either rich or noble. It was normal for even Wuzongs to be in there. Then 1 foot 11 inches pay 2 million low-grade spirit stones. 3 million low-grade spirit stones. 7 million. I'll take this pill formula back and study it. The other alchemy grandmasters and experts did not intend to give up on the pill formula. However, the highest bidder would get it. Without spirit stones, even martial arts grandmasters could only look at it. It's time to end it. We're wasting time. Increase the bid. Li Lingtian shook his head. He had decided to take the pill formula. Besides, he still had some matters to attend to later, and he did not want to waste any time on the pill formula. After saying that, he stretched out his right hand and made a gesture. He was obviously impatient with the auction below. 4 million low-grade spiritual stones. Ling Yao's heart was numb from the shock when she saw Li Lingtian's gesture. This young man was mysterious and powerful. Spiritual stones were like dirt in his eyes. Young Master said that the auction of the pill formula should end now. When she finished calling out the price, Ling Yao's eyes turned and revealed a crafty smile. Her appearance was strange and extremely cute. 4 million. 4 million low-grade spiritual stones. It's time to end it. So powerful. Overwhelming. What a domineering method. This is what a truly rich person is like. Below, everyone was shocked. The 5th item was originally a useless item, but it was like a huge battle was about to happen. An expert in a private room directly used the price to suppress everyone, making everyone have no choice but to lower their heads in front of spirit stones. The competition of wealth evolved here. Chapter 73 Chapter 73 Free Trade. Chapter 73 Free Trade. All the experts shook their heads. They could only be unlucky to encounter such a fierce person. In front of 4 million spirit stones, even pill refiners had no choice but to lower their heads. They could take out 4 million spirit stones, so there was no need for pill refiners to waste it on a Grad 3 pill formula. Moreover, this pill formula might not be able to refine medicinal pills. Moreover, even if he comprehended it, he did not have that many materials. After the 5th item was auctioned off, a young lady carried a jade tray and delivered the pill formula to Li Lingtian's private room. Young Master, the pill formula you auctioned. The young girl walked into the private room, and was immediately stunned when she saw that the person auctioning the pill recipe was not an old man but a 15 or 16-year-old youth. In her heart, the person who auctioned the pill formula was either an alchemist or a martial arts grandmaster. Martial arts grandmasters were usually in their 50s or 60s, and alchemists were also old men. Moreover, a mere youth would not be able to do such a thing. The white-robed young man before him had a carefree expression and looked a little lazy. He was extremely carefree and gave off a mysterious charm. Yes, bring it forward. Li Lingtian replied softly. The young lady was about to hand the pill formula to Li Lingtian when she was stopped by Ling Yao, who was beside her. She took the pill formula and handed it to Li Lingtian. Releasing his consciousness, a strand of consciousness entered the pill formula. Immediately, a powerful message was transmitted to his mind. Moreover, there was a restriction in the depths of the pill formula. Li Lingtian understood that this was the rule of this world. Be it cultivation techniques, pill formulas, or information, he could only learn a portion of it. If he wanted to understand what was inside, he had to buy the jade slip. Take it for million spirit stones. After waiting for a moment, he withdrew his divine sense from the jade slip and nodded his head in satisfaction. With his experience in controlling ancient alchemy techniques, this pill formula was not fake. Moreover, the Southern Sky auction house was not small. Naturally, they would not use a fake pill formula to deceive others. After the fifth item was successfully traded, it was time for free trading. The so-called free trade meant that the martial artists participating in the auction would trade their own treasures with each other. Everyone, the auction for the first 5 items has ended. It is now time for free trade. Free trade will last for 2 hours. Free trade. The quality and price are all under your control. If anything goes wrong, it has nothing to do with the auction house. However, we can provide an appraiser for this match. This way we can relieve everyone's worries. Sima Ling waited for Li Lingtian's transaction to be completed before he announced. This was the rule of the auction house. There was free trade midway. Otherwise, those warriors who had no intention of competing would have no way out. There were only 10 items in each auction, and there were only a few thousand people. There was no way they would compete for 10 items, and those who had too few spirit stones would not participate. Most of the martial artists who participated were here for the free trade. Soon, the door to the side of the auction house opened and everyone headed toward the door. Li Lingtian looked at the warriors below indifferently, his thoughts unknown. At that moment, there was a knock on the door of the private room. Ling Yao looked at Li Lingtian with a pleading gaze. After receiving Li Lingtian's approval, the wooden door to the private room was opened. An elderly man walked in and came before Li Lingtian before he cupped his fists politely. Young Master, the VIPs in the VIP room have the opportunity to participate in the free trade. I wonder if Young Master wants to participate in the free trade. If you are interested, I will help you arrange it. Bai Yuntian was stunned when he saw Li Lingtian. He did not expect a young man to be here. As an elder, he might not know all the distinguished guests. However, the distinguished guests here were all martial arts grandmasters or representatives of superfamilies and sections. He did not expect that this private room was indeed a youth. Free trade. Don't find some random dog or cat for this young master. Go and make some arrangements for this young master. Li Lingtian pondered for a moment. He did have some rare items in his possession, and he did not lack spiritual stones. He was also curious to see what treasures these VIPs and grandmasters had. This way, he would have a certain understanding of Wuzongs. In his opinion, no matter which world it was, one could tell the strength of an opponent from their wealth. That's natural. Free trade is divided into 2 levels. One is for disciples below the martial arts grandmaster level. The other is for experts above the martial arts grandmaster level and VIPs. Martial arts grandmasters and VIPs are divided into 4 rooms. Each room can hold 10 or 20 people. If there are no treasures that you are interested in, you can change rooms. Bai Yuntian was stunned. This young man was indeed not a simple person. He had just crushed the other party with 4 million yuan, but judging from his aura, he was definitely not an ordinary person. The more he did so, the more he felt Li Lingtian's mysteriousness. He was extremely polite to Li Lingtian without the slightest impatience or disdain for Li Lingtian's mere warrior spirit. Lead the way. Li Lingtian was satisfied. This was good as well. If there was something he liked, he could find a way to exchange for it. Right now, the only things he did not lack were spirit stones, cultivation techniques, and skills. He had powerful and heaven-defying treasures, but he could not use them. He was also looking at a treasure mountain but could not use them. With Bai Yuntian leading the way, Li Lingtian stood up and headed outside. However, when he realized that Ling Yao was not moving, he turned around and glanced at the maid. Don't you want to go and take a look? Li Lingtian said in a gentle voice as he looked at Ling Yao with a faint smile. Yes, I want to go. At first, Ling Yao was also in a difficult position. She didn't know if she should follow him or wait here. This was also the first time she took care of a guest in a private room, so she had no experience at all. Now that Li Lingtian had asked this question, he was overjoyed. It was naturally a good idea to meet those powerful experts. If it was any other time, he would definitely stay far away from those martial kings and martial grandmasters. The three of them left the private room and walked towards a passageway. Finally, they came to a basement. The basement was dry and brightly lit. There were 6 or 7 private rooms in the basement, and each private room was covered by a restriction. Young master, these 4 rooms are for VIPs and martial arts grandmasters to trade freely. Fighting is prohibited here. Bai Yuntian led Li Lingtian to a private room and spoke politely. With a tap of his hand, an opening appeared in the restriction, allowing Li Lingtian to enter. Li Lingtian led Ling Yao into the private room. As soon as they entered the room, he felt a dozen sharp gazes sweeping over him. While the other party was sizing him up, he was also sizing up the private room and the people inside. The private room was 50 square meters. In the middle was a huge stone table. 14 martial artists were sitting around the stone table. The transaction had not begun yet. Out of the 14 warriors, there were 9 martial arts grandmasters and 5 martial kings. Li Lingtian's cultivation was the lowest among them, so low that everyone was fuming. Warrior spirit disciples were brought here to trade freely. Wasn't this an insult to their status? However, these were all smart people. To be able to come here, they must be people in the VIP room. A warrior spirit was nothing, but their backing was definitely not to be trifled with. Chapter 74 Chapter 74 Emperor-Grade Demon Trapping Array. Chapter 74 Emperor-Grade Demon Trapping Array. Li Lingtian found a seat and sat down. After Ling Yao served him some tea, she stood behind him. The atmosphere in the private room was not pleasant. The dozen powerhouses would occasionally glance at Li Lingtian, the low-ranking disciple. However, Li Lingtian remained calm as he leisurely sipped his tea. This made Ling Yao even more curious. This youth was rich and had good looks. Now that he was facing so many experts, he did not have the slightest restraint. Moreover, the current situation seemed to be dominated by him. All the experts were sitting obediently, but he was sipping tea unhurriedly. Only he could do this. After waiting for 5 minutes, another 2 martial arts grandmasters and a martial king arrived. The free trade was about to begin. Let's begin. You guys can do whatever you want. I'll watch. In the quiet private room, Li Lingtian's words broke the silence. All the warriors were stunned and their faces were filled with anger. It was fine for a martial king, but the 10 martial arts grandmasters were not looking too good. A warrior spirit's disciple was actually so arrogant. No matter what, it was not his turn to say such words. Anger, only anger, but it couldn't be unleashed. I have a 6th order demonic beast scaly armor here that can be forged into a supreme grade profound armament or even an emperor grade defensive shield. I need 3 million spirit stones or a bottle of 4th grade pills to increase my cultivation. At the same time, I can also take out treasures of the same grade to exchange for it. Zhou Lai stood up and took out a palm-sized scale armor from his storage bag. The scale armor emitted a pale green glow. More importantly, the scale armor contained astonishing demonic power. Grade 6 Silver Dragon Scale. Zhou Lai, I didn't expect you to have such a good thing. Unfortunately, I don't have what you want. Long Yu looked at the scales in front of Zhou Lai and said in surprise. One had to know that a 6th-tier demonic beast had the strength of a martial honor. Using its scales to create a defensive shield was extremely powerful. All the cultivators looked at the scale armor in front of Zhou Lai in surprise, but they all felt regretful. 3 million spirit coins for this scale armor was not worth it. Similarly, there was no grade 4 pill. I have a 3,000-year-old dragon fruit here. It costs 3 million spiritual stones or an equivalent treasure. One want to trade for the Earth tier advanced fire skill, meteor shower. The price is 5 million spirit stones. You can also use treasures to exchange for it. Everyone should recognize this thing of mine, right? It's an Emperor-grade demon trapping array. A rank 3 martial arts grandmaster mysteriously took out a set of array flags with a faint smile on his face. What? An Emperor-grade demon trapping array? No way, did you bring this Emperor-grade demon trapping array here? Could it be that you entered the Devil Canyon? The few martial arts grandmasters and martial kings were shocked. Only Li Lingtian remained calm, as he did not know how powerful the demon trapping array was. Even though he was at the monarch level, he did not understand the power of the array flags. Moreover, even if he was surprised, he would not show it on his face. When a martial arts grandmaster mentioned the heavenly Devil Canyon, he felt a wave of emotion in his heart. The last time, he heard that he had entered the heavenly Devil Canyon and obtained a treasure, becoming a martial arts grandmaster. Now, someone was mentioning the heavenly Devil Canyon again. What kind of existence was this Devil Canyon? It was actually so magical. Moreover, based on his feeling, this Devil Canyon was not a good place. Yeah, 6 people went in, and I was the only one who came out. Wang Tian thought of the dangers in the Devil Canyon and was still afraid. 6 martial arts grandmasters and even a rank 8 martial arts grandmaster had died in there. He was the only one who came out. However, all the treasures were destroyed and he obtained this monarch-level array flag, the demon trapping array flag. Li Lingtian studied the Emperor-grade demon trapping array flag carefully. There were 4 flags in total, and they were emitting a strong demonic chi that gave off an uncomfortable feeling. Following that, everyone took out their respective treasures and began to discuss the price and terms of the trade. Li Lingtian was the only one watching from the sidelines. Hey, let's go! Li Lingtian sighed. Although there were a few items that tempted him, they were all extremely expensive. Could it be that you don't see anything good here? A martial arts grandmaster suppressed his anger and said indifferently. The aura on his body soared. Such a treasure was extremely precious, but no one could trade it. There were only 2 or 3 people who had successfully made the deal. Now that a warrior spirit disciple had such an expression on his face, he was naturally extremely displeased. There really isn't anything good here. The treasures that I'm trading with, you can't even take them out, Li Lingtian said with a smile. He did not take this martial arts grandmaster seriously at all. Fighting was not allowed here. Moreover, even if a martial arts grandmaster were to attack, he could still defend himself. Ha ha, what kind of joke is this? What treasure can you have? Take out the treasure and let us see it. Could it be that it's even more precious than the treasures here? This top-grade profound armament inner armor of mine is a priceless treasure. All of a sudden, all the martial arts grandmasters and martial kings were enraged. They had actually been ignored by a warrior spirit and started to introduce the benefits of their treasures. Ling Yao's expression was ugly as well. Li Lingtian had offended all the martial arts grandmasters and martial kings. Under such circumstances, how could a warrior like her withstand such a powerful aura? Have you heard of a treasure that can increase the cultivation of a martial arts grandmaster by 1 realm? Li Lingtian stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at the martial arts grandmaster powerhouses. He already had a plan in mind. He had a total of 167 10,000-year-old purple jade fruit. If he took out a few of them, he would definitely be able to exchange them for a few treasures. However, he did not want anyone to remember him. Now that he had taken a fancy to a few treasures here, his strength could increase by a level after obtaining them. Why not? Is there such a treasure? Unless it's a heaven and earth spirit fruit that's over 5,000 years old. 1,000-year-old spiritual fruit can increase the cultivation of a martial king by 1 realm. A 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit can increase the cultivation of a martial arts grandmaster by 1 realm. However, a person can only use it once in their lifetime. It can raise a martial arts grandmaster by 100%. Could it be the 10 millennium purple jade fruit? It's the purple jade fruit. Only the purple jade fruit has such an effect. The few martial arts grandmasters were excited. Although they had not seen such a thing, topics that could increase the realm of martial arts grandmasters were always the most popular. Do you know where the purple jade fruit is? Cosmic Dragon glared at Li Lingtian. If there were any clues, they would search for them with all their might. Even a warrior would find it difficult to advance a tier, let alone a warrior ascendant. On the path of martial arts, one would go from shallow to deep. The further one went, the more difficult it would be to cultivate. If he could really find the purple jade fruit, he would be rich. With an increase in his cultivation realm, his strength would soar, and his lifespan would increase. Which martial arts grandmaster would not go crazy? Chapter 75, 10,000-year purple jade fruit. Chapter 75, 10,000-year purple jade fruit. I have 3 purple jade fruits. Li Lingtian activated his divine consciousness and opened his storage pouch. 3 bowl-sized purple fruits floated out from it. Instantly, the entire private room was filled with an astonishing amount of spirit chi, giving all the powerhouses a jolt of spirit. Just this aura alone was refreshing. Needless to say, this fruit was powerful and heaven-defying. The purple fruit was almost crystal clear, and there was still mysterious heaven and earth chi on it. The 10 martial arts grandmasters and a few martial kings were all stunned. Purple jade fruit. 10,000-year-old purple jade fruit. It really is a 10,000-year-old purple jade fruit. The 10 martial arts grandmasters cried out in surprise. Their hearts trembled. As long as they ate a fruit, they could ignore the bottleneck and advance a realm. If one consume this purple jade fruit, one will be able to reach rank 6 martial arts grandmaster. If I get this fruit, I can raise my cultivation to the 4th level of the martial arts grandmaster realm. The martial arts grandmaster experts began to fantasize. In this world, there was nothing better than eating spiritual fruits to increase their cultivation. Moreover, this fantasy was right in front of their eyes. Could it be that everyone wants to snatch this purple jade fruit? Do you think that everyone has the ability to do so? Li Lingtian's heart was pounding as he looked at the martial arts grandmaster powerhouse's eyes. He had underestimated the martial arts grandmaster powerhouse's desire for the 10 millennium purple jade fruit. However, he was not worried that these guys would snatch the fruit. In this place, no one dared to mess around. Moreover, even if everyone dared to snatch the fruit, he had a way to leave this place. Sir, how about selling a year-old purple jade fruit to me for 7 million? Sir, give me 1 purple jade fruit and this inner armor in exchange. Sir, what are your conditions to trade for the purple jade fruit? You're only a warrior spirit now. Even if you swallow this purple jade fruit, will you do it? Self-destruct immediately. The martial arts grandmaster and martial king saw Li Lingtian's fearless expression and immediately came to their senses. Although they did not know what this young man was relying on, the young man who was able to produce the 10 millennium purple jade fruit must have his own strength. Humph, do you all think I'm a 3-year-old child or a fool? 10,000-year purple jade fruit, 7 million? I'll give you 70 million, go buy one for me. You want to exchange an inner armor for a year-old purple jade fruit? Aren't you underestimating the purple jade fruit too much? Li Lingtian listed out the conditions of the exchange for all the warriors. Everyone had their own needs and the treasures of these warriors were all powerful. However, Li Lingtian's purple jade fruit had become a supreme treasure in their eyes. In Li Lingtian's eyes, this treasure was just SOSO. He could only consume more than 100 of these purple jade fruits once. One only have 3 10,000-year-old purple jade fruit. I probably won't be able to become a martial arts grandmaster in this lifetime. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken them out even if I were beaten to death. You guys decide. Whoever offers the highest price will trade for a purple jade fruit. Li Lingtian chuckled to himself. He had already made up his mind. He could trade for the inner armor, the array flags, the dragon fruit, or the advanced earth-tier meteor shower. Following that, the 10 martial arts grandmasters increased the price of their treasures. They added spirit stones, medicinal herbs, and medicinal pills. Each of them increased the price. Because there were only 3 purple jade fruits, it was impossible for him not to use his full strength. This inner armor of mine, 6 million. I'll give you 7 million spirit stones for my earth-rank advanced meteor shower. My dragon fruit, 7 million spirit stones, and a sword talisman. My monarch-level demon trapping array flag and a shocking thunder. In the end, the item with the highest price was the one that Li Lingtian had his eyes on. The rest were basically eliminated. 1. Choose dragon fruit, array flag, and skill. The 4 martial arts grandmasters were waiting for Li Lingtian to speak. Their faces were filled with confidence. They were extremely confident in their treasures and their value. They believed that this warrior spirit disciple would take a fancy to them. When Li Lingtian made the announcement, the 3 selected martial arts grandmasters were excited. 1 10,000-year-old purple jade fruit would allow them to advance by 1 realm. With a wave of his hand, the treasures of the 3 martial arts grandmasters entered his storage pouch. 3 10,000-year-old purple jade fruits were also shot at the 3 martial arts grandmasters. Once everything was done, he left with Ling Yao. By the time everyone reacted, Li Lingtian had already left. Li Lingtian left the private room and entered another private room. He exited the room after finding nothing good with one hand. He returned to his private room to rest and wait for the auction to begin. From the beginning to the end, Ling Yao's small face had a look of shock. Everything about this youth gave people too great of an impact. Even though she did not know how powerful the purple jade fruit was, as a martial artist, even a fool would understand how magical the purple jade fruit was when she saw these martial arts grandmasters throw out a large amount of their wealth in exchange for it. He did not expect this young man to have such a powerful family background and to be so calm when facing a Wu Zong. Young master, is that purple jade really that magical? Ling Yao placed the fragrant tea in Li Lingtian's hands and asked softly with curiosity. Her bright eyes were fixed on Li Lingtian. Do you want one? Li Lingtian was in a good mood. He turned around and looked at the maid beside him. The maid was a rare beauty who looked to be around 16 or 17 years old. She was extremely beautiful. I wouldn't dare. Ling Yao blushed when she saw Li Lingtian's expression. However, she felt that something was amiss when she heard Li Lingtian's words. Li Lingtian must be angry when he asked if he wanted a treasure that even a martial arts grandmaster would fight for. This purple jade fruit is indeed so magical. It can ignore bottlenecks and directly raise a martial arts grandmaster by 1 realm. A person can only use it once in their lifetime. Li Lingtian closed his eyes to rest after he finished speaking. 3 out of the 10 martial arts grandmasters would obtain the purple jade fruit. There would definitely be a huge battle, but it had nothing to do with him. However, after he won the other item, he had to leave first to avoid being targeted. Time passed very quickly. 2 hours passed and the free trade time ended. All the martial artists returned to their seat. The cultivators who had successfully traded were naturally happy, but those who had not had ugly expressions on their faces. Just the entrance fee was 1,000 spirit stones. After waiting for 5 minutes, everyone had returned. However, Li Lingtian noticed that a few people were missing from his divine consciousness. Others might not know what was going on, but he knew very well that a few martial arts grandmasters must have left for the purple jade fruit. Without obtaining the treasure, they killed and snatched it. This was a common occurrence in the divine martial continent. Seeing the treasure that could increase his cultivation level slip away, he naturally wouldn't give up. As for the youth who took out the purple jade fruit, he would make plans when the time came. There were a total of 7 martial arts grandmasters missing. The remaining 3 were also martial arts grandmasters who did not obtain the purple jade fruit. Li Lingtian smiled bitterly in his heart when he realized this problem. Those who left were fighting for the purple jade fruit. Those who stayed were either competing for the item or targeting him. Any random Wuzong was not someone he could provoke. Chapter 76 Chapter 76 Profound Een Ice Crystal. Chapter 76 Profound Een Ice Crystal. The purpose of coming out this time was to gain experience, to see the human style of this world, and to integrate himself into this world. He didn't expect to encounter a few good treasures. However, he had to leave quickly after this auction and find a place to rest. Moreover, the once-in-a-decade genius competition in Sky Dragon Empire was about to begin. Everyone, the free trading time has ended. We will now continue with the auction. After Sima Ling and the other warriors returned, he swept his gaze over the few seats that were absent. He furrowed his brows and concealed it. Some powerful martial artists could also leave midway. The auction house would not restrict the martial artists from leaving or staying unless they disturbed the order of the auction house. The next few items were all amazing treasures and profound level weapons. The best one was even a peerless profound level weapon. To Li Lingtian's surprise, his Tier 4 youngling egg was put up for auction as well. It was normal for it to be placed in the middle of the auction. Li Lingtian did not regret the fact that a Tier 4 demonic beast egg had reached a price of 3.9 million. Anything could happen in an auction house. It was not a loss for him to have over 2 million Tier 4 eggs. The last item, Profound Een Ice Crystal. Dark Een Ice Crystal. Warriors with ice martial souls can greatly increase their cultivation and strength. This ice crystal comes from the extreme north Dark Een land. There is no low price, and each increment should not be less than 100,000. Sima Ling took out a brocade box. The box was sealed with over 10 talismans, and it was emitting a chilling aura that made all the warriors tremble. Some of the powerful warriors had greedy looks on their faces. This mysterious Een Ice Crystal was not only useful for warriors with ice martial souls, but also for other warriors. If a martial king or above expert were to use the Dark Een Ice Crystal, not only would it calm their mind, but they could also use it directly to kill their opponent with the Dark Een Chi. However, the Dark Een Ice Crystal was too powerful, and ordinary martial artists did not dare to take it. Li Lingtian's face revealed a hint of excitement. He was excited when he found out that there was a Dark Een Ice Crystal in the auction. He used to have the immemorial ice crystal in his body. Even though it was refined, its power was still extremely powerful. If he could get this mysterious Een Ice Crystal, he believed it would be of great help to his ice system martial spirit. This was also the reason why he stayed. 1 million. 2 million low-grade spirit stones. 250 low-grade spirit stones. The moment Sima Ling finished speaking, the martial arts grandmaster experts below immediately raised the price. The price was heaven-defying. The warriors who had been here earlier looked like they were poor, but now that the ice crystals had appeared, all of them went crazy. 5 million low-grade spirit stones. 8 million low-grade spirit stones. After the bid reached 5 million, there were only 6 martial arts grandmasters competing. Only martial arts grandmasters had such powerful asset. Otherwise, who could take out a few million? In this world, there was no second Li Lingtian. Unless it was those super heaven-defying sect disciples, no one dared to compare to Li Lingtian. 15 million. Li Lingtian whispered to Ling Yao. It was not convenient for him to bid, as Ling Yao was a member of the auction house. It would not be easy for others to find out who had obtained the ice crystal. 15 million. Ling Yao looked at Li Lingtian in shock. She did not even dare to think of such a sum. 15 million, this was 15 million, not 1,500 spiritual stones. Even 1,500 spirit stones was not something she could afford. Her annual benefits were only 200 spirit stones. 15 million low-grade spirit stones. After receiving Li Lingtian's nod, Ling Yao numbly shouted out the shocking figure of 15 million. Instantly, the auction hall fell silent. There was not the slightest sound. All the martial artists were stunned. 15,000? 10,000? 15 million. This was a thunderbolt, a shocking bomb. It directly shocked these martial artists until they were charred on the outside and tender on the inside. 15 million, the price immediately doubled. Even a super sect might not be able to easily fork out 15 million. He did not expect someone to offer such a heaven-defying price. It's that person again. The person who used 4 million to take out a third-grade pill formula. Speechless, shocked, numb. Everyone was not used to it. Comparing people was infuriating. They were rushing around for thousands of spirit stones, but the other party had offered millions, and now 15 million. F***ck, are spirit stones soil? Are they that worthless? Everyone had this thought in their hearts, but they did not dare to say it out loud. If others could take out so many spirit stones, they could casually use spirit stones to smash you to death. 15 million low-grade spirit stones. Anyone else? 15 million low-grade spirit stones going once. 15 million low-grade spirit stones going twice. 15 million low-grade spirit stones going thrice. Congratulations to guest number 8 for obtaining the profound ice crystal. Sima Ling waited for a minute and no one else raised the bid. He slammed the hammer down. 15 million spirit stones. This was the first time it had reached such a high price, and he was extremely excited. Following that, a young lady carried a jade tray and placed the dark ice crystal in front of Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian glanced at the brocade box and found that the chilling aura within it was enough to make him shiver. With his experience with the immemorial ice crystal, he could naturally tell that this profound ice crystal was not fake. He put away the ice crystal and handed 15 million spirit stones to the girl. The transaction was successful and the girl left. This is for you. It depends on your luck. After Li Lingtian finished speaking, he released his divine consciousness and quickly entered the divine dragon ring. He then handed a storage pouch to Ling Yao before he stood up and left the private room. Now that the deal was done, it was time to leave. This maid was not bad. She was definitely a beautiful girl. More importantly, she had a wood-type martial soul and was very talented. Thank you, young master. Ling Yao was stunned, and she was instantly incomparably happy. It was normal to receive a reward. This youth was mysterious and powerful, making people feel extremely ambiguous. However, by the time she could react and thank him, Li Lingtian had already disappeared. Li Lingtian left the auction house immediately. As a VIP, he had more freedom to leave and no one dared to stop him. After leaving the auction house, Li Lingtian's body flashed as he flew out of the city at high speed. It was already late at night and there was no one on the street. The closing of the city gate was a sign of the heavens for the average person. However, it was nothing to a warrior like Li Lingtian. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A spirit weapon longsword was unleashed and it quickly tore through the air. Those below the martial arts grandmaster level could not fly in the air. They could only use the power of a spirit weapon and the true chi of a martial artist to fly in the air. Li Lingtian smiled bitterly in his heart. Although he was mentally prepared and had left the auction house, there were still a few people who had their eyes on him. In his divine sense, 3 martial arts grandmasters and 6 martial king realm experts had locked onto him. Although he had not left the city, he was locked onto by the divine sense. No matter how fast he flew, he could not escape the divine sense of a martial arts grandmaster or martial king realm expert. Unless he fled a few hundred miles away in an instant, he would be locked onto by the divine sense. Moreover, the speed of a martial arts grandmaster flying in the air was much faster than his flying artifact. In the middle of the night, Li Lingtian flew on his weapon with a calm expression on his face. In the blink of an eye, he was already 100 miles away from Nantian City. By the time he was 100 miles away, a few figures had already left Nantian City. He was now a Tier 8 warrior spirit, and his divine consciousness had reached a distance of 100 miles. Even the divine consciousness of a peak Tier 9 warrior king would not be his match. You want to find trouble with this young master? Let's see how many lives you have left? Li Lingtian muttered to himself as he accelerated his flight. Among the 3 martial arts grandmasters, he had seen 2 of them before and the last one was probably here for the dark ice crystal or the pill formula. As for the other martial kings, they probably wanted to kill him for his treasures after seeing his wealth. In this world, killing and snatching treasures was a normal thing, but it also depended on the person. Chapter 77 Chapter 77 Killing and Stealing Treasures. Chapter 77 Killing and Stealing Treasures. A group of people flew across the sky quickly. The protective shield of a martial arts grandmaster and the flying device of a martial king carried a faint fluorescent light as they streaked across the silent night sky like meteors. Li Lingtian's expression did not change at all. There was no one else who could remain as calm as him when facing 3 powerful martial arts grandmasters and 6 martial kings. Brother Zhao, do you think that warrior spirit disciple still has the year-old purple jade fruit? Sun Haoran said softly. His body floated in the air and his speed was extremely fast. He was far ahead of the 6 martial king realm expert. Brother Sun, you already know. Why are you asking me? That warrior spirit disciple took out 3 10,000-year-old purple jade fruits at once. One won't believe that he doesn't have any more purple jade fruit. Zhao Shihao glanced at Sun Haoran, who was not far away from him, as he spoke indifferently. The 2 of them had seen the purple jade fruit in Li Lingtian's hands before. Their cultivation was only at Tier 2 martial arts grandmaster. They knew their limits when competing with other martial arts grandmasters for the purple jade fruit. Hence, they could only target Li Lingtian. Brother Zhao, what purple jade fruit are you talking about? Could it be a 10,000-year-old purple jade fruit? Zhou Wujuan was also a rank 2 martial arts grandmaster. Although the 2 martial arts grandmasters spoke softly, they could hear it clearly. When they heard the purple jade fruit, their hearts trembled and they instantly became excited. There's no harm in telling you. This kid should still have 10,000-year purple jade fruits on him. Previously, during the free trade in the auction house, He took out 3 10,000-year purple jade fruits and exchanged them for quite a number of treasures. Zhao Shihao did not hide anything. Since they were going to deal with Li Lingtian, killing a warrior spirit disciple was as easy as killing an ant. There would definitely be a dispute over the distribution of the treasures. Instead of doing this, it would be better for the three of them to join forces. If that warrior spirit junior was a genius disciple of a super sect, they could also drag one person into the water and bear the consequences together. It really is a 10,000-year-old purple jade fruit. I'm really lucky this time. When the time comes, one only need one purple jade fruit. Zhou Wujuan's face immediately bloomed with smiles. The 10,000-year purple jade fruit could increase the cultivation of a martial arts grandmaster by 1 realm. It was his luck to have encountered such a treasure. All right, it's settled. If there are 3 purple jade fruits, the 3 of us will each get one. If there are only 2, it will depend on our own abilities. As for the rest of the wealth, we can split it equally. Sun Haoran said. It was impossible for this kid to say that they were the ones who discovered him. This was because this warrior spirit's disciples' moves were too shocking. He could casually take out 10 million spirit stones. His net worth was definitely not simple. All right, that's it. The 3 of them nodded in agreement. They would kill Li Lingtian and split the treasures. The other 6 martial kings were also extremely shocked. A 10,000-year-old treasure was definitely a priceless treasure. Even if they could not obtain it, they could at least experience it. Perhaps when the 3 martial arts grandmasters fought, they could take the opportunity to take advantage of it. The 9 figures flew into the distance at high speed, while their divine perception locked onto Li Lingtian. This place was too close to Southern Sky City. Faced with the warrior spirit disciple who had a powerful backer nearby, they dared not make a move rashly. Half an hour later, Li Lingtian had flown 1,000 miles and arrived at a remote and desolate area outside Southern Sky City. Below him was a huge river, and there was not a single sound in the surroundings. Hee, you really are courting death. Sun Haoran looked in the direction Li Lingtian was flying in as he spoke softly. His divine perception scanned the surroundings, but he could not detect any presence. There was not even a wild beast, let alone a powerhouse. Such a remote place was a good place to kill and steal treasures. The other 2 martial arts grandmasters and a few martial kings also smiled. Brat, it's time to stop. Do you want me to make a move? Zhao Shihao shouted loudly. This place was remote and uninhabited, so he naturally had nothing to fear. Hee, you really are courting death. This young master doesn't want to fight. If you want to blame someone, blame yourselves for being too greedy. You shouldn't have provoked this young master. Li Lingtian's body hovered above the flying sword as he turned around to look at the 9 figures 100 miles away. With a faint smile on his face, he looked calm and composed. His calm expression made one feel stifled. You're really obedient. It seems like you're still afraid of death. As long as you hand over your bag of holding, I can give you a quick death. Sun Haoran and the rest were stunned. They did not expect Li Lingtian to stop so obediently. They scanned Li Lingtian's surroundings with their divine perception and were relieved to see nothing amiss. However, he felt that something was amiss. He did not know what was amiss. He thought about how he was a martial arts grandmaster powerhouse, and there were 2 other martial arts grandmasters and 6 martial kings. It would be easier for him to deal with a warrior spirit disciple than crushing an ant. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of air being torn apart was heard as 9 faint halos stopped 100 meters away from Li Lingtian. The 9 powerful auras crushed Li Lingtian as if they were showing off their powerful cultivation. In the air, 9 powerful auras tore through the air. They looked at Li Lingtian as if he was a dead man. The 9 super powerhouses could already imagine Li Lingtian begging for mercy in front of them. Against 3 martial grandmasters and 6 martial kings, no matter how powerful a warrior spirit disciple was, he could only despair. However, they did not expect Li Lingtian's words to stun them. Their expressions turned extremely ugly, and they nearly lost their temper. A few pieces of trash trying to get their hands on this young master. This place is a treasure land with good feng shui that this young master has chosen for you. Not bad, right? There was a faint smile on Li Lingtian's face as he looked at the 9 powerful warriors provocatively. His eyes were filled with disdain. They had never expected such a thing to happen to them. They had been despised by a trashy warrior spirit disciple. Damn it, is my hearing not good, or is this little bastard crazy? Brat, today I'll let you have a taste of a life worse than death. If I didn't pull out my tendons and skin him alive, I wouldn't be Sun Howren. The 3 martial arts grandmasters immediately started cursing. They did not have the demeanor of a martial arts grandmaster powerhouse at all. The few martial kings were stunned. However, they were really unhappy when they thought about being insulted by a warrior spirit disciple. Are these 3 old fogies only capable of this? Looks like you guys are being bullied elsewhere, so you want to show your presence in front of this young master. Damn it, is there such a good thing? Li Lingtian snorted and gave a contemptuous look. He did not treat the 3 martial arts grandmasters as humans at all. If he wanted to kill someone and steal their treasure, he had to see who the other party was. In the past, he had killed many people and stolen many treasures. He thought that warrior spirit disciples were easy to bully. Today, he would let them know the taste of death. The few of you drag him over. Each of you will be rewarded with 1,000,000 spirit stones. Zhao Shihao was furious. He turned his eyes and looked at the 6 martial king experts beside him. They were all rank 6 or 7 martial kings. Since they were here, they should not waste their time. Moreover, this warrior spirit's disciple did not look like a lunatic. Furthermore, he had casually taken out 3 10,000-year-old purple jade fruit. He definitely had some tricks up his sleeve. He would not suffer any losses even if he used a few martial kings as cannon fodder. Leave it to us. When the martial kings heard this, their faces immediately revealed excitement. 1,000,000 spiritual stones was a shocking figure even for martial kings. However, they did not sense anything amiss. With a flash, they dashed toward Li Lingtian at high speed. The 6 of them were fighting to be the first, worried that they would not be able to get the spiritual stones if they fell behind. When facing a warrior spirit disciple, he would suppress him with his pressure and aura. Naturally, he would not use any treasures or skills. This would show the difference between a warrior king and a warrior spirit. Boom! Boom! The 6 warrior kings unleashed their overwhelming pressure, and the space was torn apart. Zhao Shihao had ordered them to capture Li Lingtian, but he did not dare to kill him. If anything were to happen, he would be in deep trouble. Chapter 78 Chapter 78 The Power of the Startling Heavenly Thunder. Chapter 78 The Power of the Startling Heavenly Thunder. What puzzled the 6 martial kings and martial arts grandmasters was that the young man in front of them did not move at all in the face of 6 martial kings. His expression was extremely calm. However, the few of them soon noticed a hint of a sinister smile on Li Lingtian's calm face. The 6 martial king powerhouses felt that something was amiss with his smile, but they could not think of anything. It was then that Li Lingtian spoke. Trash, try my startling thunder. Li Lingtian extended one hand and flicked his finger. A sparkling pearl flew toward the 6 warrior kings at a speed that was beyond everyone's sight. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived before the 6 warrior kings. Not good. Not good, it's the startling thunder. Rumble. The people in the air were all extremely shocked. When the 6 martial kings saw the white bead, it was already too late for them to return. Any knowledgeable martial artist had heard of the sky-shocking thunder. This sky-shocking thunder could be a mystic-class existence, and its power was unparalleled. Even a peak rank 9 martial king would not be able to withstand the power of a heavenly thunder. Moreover, any martial artist could unleash such a heavenly thunder, making it impossible to guard against. With a loud bang, a light shield appeared in front of Li Lingtian and shielded him within. The shocking heavenly lightning exploded, forming a destructive vortex within a radius of 100 meters. The 6 martial king realm experts disappeared, leaving only a bloody curtain. Sun Hauran and the other 2 quickly retreated as well. Their bodies were covered in a protective light shield that blocked the aftershock of the startling heavenly thunder. Li Lingtian's ice and fire ring was also in front of them. "All right, I've dealt with the ants. Let's see how much stronger the 3 of you are than these ants. Don't disappoint me." Li Lingtian's body trembled as he was shocked. The shockwave from the startling heavenly thunder was so powerful that he would have been affected if not for the ice and fire ring. Ever since he met the 9 Yang Saint Lord's soul on Hidden Dragon Island, fused with the 9 Yang sacred fire, and refined the immemorial ice crystal, his control over the ice-fire ring had increased. However, he had never known what level of treasure the ice-fire ring was. His cultivation had increased and the power of the ice and fire ring had also become stronger. After some assessment, even a 5th-tier martial king combined with a low-grade profound armament would not be able to break the defense of the ice and fire ring. "Brat, you only have one startling heavenly lightning, right? Now that you don't have one, let's see how you die." Zhao Shihao's anger had reached its peak. Fortunately, he had ordered the 6 warrior kings to capture Li Lingtian. If the 3 of them had gone forward, they would have been injured even if they were not killed by the startling heavenly lightning. If word got out that he was injured by a warrior spirit disciple, it would not sound good. He could forget about surviving in Eastern Spirit Greenland. The 3 martial arts grandmasters' auras and pressure burst forth from their bodies. Within 1,000 meters in the air, the pressure of the 3 martial arts grandmasters was earth-shattering. Even martial arts grandmasters of the same rank would not dare to resist the pressure of the 3 martial arts grandmasters, let alone warrior spirit disciples. Li Lingtian's expression changed drastically. The pressure of a martial arts grandmaster was not to be underestimated. It was impossible for him to match it with his aura alone. "Who do you think you are? You're just 3 pieces of trash. Don't cry when the time comes." Li Lingtian calmed himself down and activated the Heaven and Earth reincarnation technique. The true dragon body barrier was activated and the dragon energy circulated in his body. The powerful dragon energy quickly protected him and began to resist the pressure of the 3 martial arts grandmasters. Chi. What happened? Ignore the pressure of a Wu Zong. Beside Li Lingtian was a protective shield. It was similar to the magic shield in the game in his previous life, except that the shield was very faint, like a fluorescent light. However, when the 3 martial arts grandmaster powerhouses' pressure reached Li Lingtian's protective shield, it was actually blocked. Moreover, the protective shield continued to consume their pressure. Sun Hauran, Zhao Shihao, and Zhou Wujuan cried out in shock. They did not even dare to think about such a thing. Their own pressure was shocking. Warriors below the martial arts grandmaster realm were suppressed by their pressure. However, their pressure was useless in front of this warrior spirit disciple. On the contrary, this warrior spirit disciple's protective shield was still devouring their pressure. Not good. This is the legendary dragon energy, the energy of the Azure Dragon. Sun Hauran was the most knowledgeable and immediately understood that the youth in front of him was actually using dragon energy. The power of dragon energy was shocking and completely ignored the pressure of martial artists. CC. The three shocking auras quickly retreated, no longer daring to use their auras to deal with the youth in front of them. In the past, the pressure of a martial grandmaster suppressed a martial king or a warrior spirit. It was a satisfying experience. He did not expect to be in such a sorry state in front of this warrior spirit disciple. I said you guys are trash, and you guys still don't believe me. If you kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times, one might be in a good mood and give you a complete corp. Otherwise, Li Lingtian's face was filled with satisfaction. The strength of his dragon energy was beyond his imagination. His cultivation was still too low. Otherwise, he would have crushed the 3 martial arts grandmasters to death with his dragon energy. Otherwise, one will kill you. Brother Sun, Brother Zhao, the 3 of us will attack together and kill him. We don't want any more trouble. Zhou Wujuan also felt that something was wrong. The killing intent in his heart reached an extreme. He looked at his 2 companions and said loudly. Immediately, he waved his hand and a peerless profound level weapon was displayed. Tyrannosaurus Spear. Without waiting for Zhao Shihao and Sun Haoran's reply, he unleashed the supreme-grade celestial weapon, the Tyrannosaurus Spear. A huge silver spear was hurled at Li Lingtian. It was as if a Tyrannosaurus was swooping down from the sky. His momentum was like a rainbow and he was peerless. A martial arts grandmaster's display of a supreme-grade profound armament was indeed overbearing. Li Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. Although this martial arts grandmaster was not as powerful as perfected Tian Shao, his attack was still extremely powerful. I'll leave it to you. Li Lingtian glanced sideways at the Tyrannosaurus spear that was falling from the sky and spoke indifferently as if he was talking to himself. However, at this moment, the air trembled and a snow-white rabbit appeared. The 3 martial arts grandmasters were stunned. Then, they revealed a disdainful smile on their faces. Their smiles did not last long before their expressions changed drastically. Dragon. F***CK, what's going on? A level 3/4 dragon. Whitey looked disdainfully at the Tyrannosaurus spear in the air. Its body suddenly expanded and turned into a 5-meter-long 3-colored dragon in an instant. Its aura was mighty and domineering. Roar! A dragon's roar reverberated through the sky. Following that, its huge claws slapped fiercely at the Tyrannosaurus spear in the sky. The majesty of a dragon could not be underestimated. With one strike, the attack of the supreme-grade profound weapon Tyrannosaurus spear was immediately scattered. Brother Zhao and Brother Sun, a level 4, level 3 dragon. Are the 2 of you still going to watch the show? Zhou Wujuan's heart trembled when his attack was broken. A 4th-tier level 3 demonic beast was equivalent to a 3rd-tier martial arts grandmaster. Furthermore, demonic beasts were naturally powerful. How could a 2nd-tier martial arts grandmaster dare to fight a 4th-tier 3-colored dragon alone? Alright, the 3 of us will join forces to kill this 3-colored dragon. Then, we'll deal with this bastard. Zhao Shihao and Sun Haoran also understood the situation before them. If they did not join forces, it would be difficult for them to escape when Zhou Wujuan was killed. Moreover, this young man in front of them had shocking wealth, so they were unwilling to give up just like that. Chapter 79 Chapter 79 Jade-Eyed Beast. Chapter 79 Jade-Eyed Beast. Bright moonblade / dazzling gold chains trap me. Sun Haoran and Zhao Shihao attacked at the same time. The 3 of them joined forces and wanted to kill Little White. In the air, the 3 martial arts grandmasters, shocking auras and Little White's violent dragon energy tore through the air. Li Lingtian was envious of them. This was what a powerhouse was like. If he were to become a martial arts grandmaster, he would be able to shake the world with one hand. 3 against 1. There's no such thing in this world. 1 against 1 is even better, Li Lingtian said calmly. His words stunned the 3 martial arts grandmasters. Could it be that this kid still wanted to join the battle? However, he understood what happened next. His expression became extremely terrified, and he could not help but curse. F***ck, this is cheating. Little bastard, this isn't fair. Damn, this is a 4th tier 4th level multicolored beast, a 4th tier 7th level jade-eyed beast. The air trembled as a tall and mighty multicolored beast pounced fiercely at Sun Howren. Its speed was so fast that it was beyond the sight of a martial artist. The multicolored beast could not fly, so it could only rely on its strength to leap in the air. As the multicolored beast appeared, an even more terrifying aura burst forth. It was a Tier 4 Level 7 Jade-Eyed beast. It was the most powerful demonic beast that Li Lingtian and Little White had subdued together. The blue-eyed beast was a 4th grade, 7th grade beast that could float in the air. However, it did not stop at this time and attacked Zhao Shihao directly. Instantly, the 3 martial arts grandmasters were filled with fear. You guys have fun with them. I'll take a rest first. Li Lingtian could feel the overwhelming pressure. He retreated dozens of meters in a flash and watched the 3 martial arts grandmasters battling the 3 powerful mystical beasts from afar. He said indifferently with a smile on his face, as if he was watching a show. Seeing this scene, the 3 martial arts grandmasters felt like dying. How did this kid have such a powerful demonic beast? Any one of them was enough to make them suffer. Now that there were 3 powerful demonic beasts, even if they escaped, their chances were extremely small. Boom! 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 Explosions continued in the air. Martial arts grandmasters were naturally extremely powerful. Being attacked by 3 powerful demonic beasts, they were passively beaten up. It was difficult to get off when they encountered such a thing. Little White, the multicolored beast, and the jade-eyed beast were instructed by Li Lingtian to play with the 3 martial arts grandmasters instead of killing them all at once. The 3 mystical beasts suppressed the 3 martial arts grandmasters but did not kill them all at once. Sir, stop while you're ahead. Take back your demonic beast and let this matter rest. We'll go our separate ways. Beads of sweat trickled down Sun Howren's face. Being attacked by the multicolored beast was like being toyed with by the other party. His true essence was being consumed extremely quickly. If the demonic beast continued like this, it would either be killed or exhausted to death. He quickly shouted at Li Lingtian, who was standing far away. He was really helpless. 3 martial arts grandmasters had bullied a trashy warrior spirit disciple, and now, they were being played like a monkey by this warrior spirit disciple. He dared not voice out his anger. Yes, I am. Let's forget about this matter. It's a misunderstanding. Zhao Shihao and Zhou Wujuan felt even more uncomfortable. Little White's dragon aura and dragon might, as well as the power of a 4th tier, Level 7 Jade-Eyed Beast, made them suffer. F***ck, is there such a simple thing in this world? Oh right, it's indeed a misunderstanding. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let them train with you. You have to thank me. I'm still playing for a while. I'm thirsty. You guys continue playing. I'll eat a fruit first. There was a faint smile on Li Lingtian's face. The 3 mystical beasts had no intention of stopping. Without Li Lingtian's instructions, they would not stop even if they died in battle. After he finished speaking, a spiritual fruit that was full of spiritual energy appeared out of thin air. It was a fist-sized 100-year-old spiritual fruit. It immediately shocked the 3 martial arts grandmasters. However, they were attacked by the 3 demon beasts. They were stunned and suffered a heavy blow. F***CK, who is this person? 3 demonic beasts and a year-old purple jade fruit. Now that I'm thirsty, I'm actually eating a year-old spiritual fruit. I'm F***ing going to die. Oh my god, what's going on? When the 3 martial arts grandmasters saw that Li Lingtian had taken the 100-year spiritual fruit to quench his thirst, they were instantly devastated. Thinking about how the 3 of them were being attacked by the demon beasts here while the other party was actually leisurely eating spiritual fruits and watching the show, he was really F***ing speechless. Forget it, it's not fun. Let's see who among the 3 of you will finish them off first. After Li Lingtian finished eating the spirit fruit, he spoke indifferently. The 3 martial arts grandmasters were shocked when they heard his words, but they soon revealed a smile of relief. They had been tortured by the 3 mystical beasts. It was a fate worse than death. Rumble! Chi-chi! Bang! There was an explosion and 3 rays of blood light scattered. There were no screams. 3 Wu Zongs died. The first one to be killed was the opponent's jade-eyed beast, followed by Little White, and finally the multicolored beast. Go back and cultivate. This is for you. Li Lingtian threw a light projection at the emerald-eyed beast and multicolored beast with one hand. Following that, the multicolored beast and emerald-eyed beast disappeared into the divine dragon ring. Protect me while I collect their storage pouches. Li Lingtian looked at Little White, who had turned into a snow-white rabbit, and said happily. Then, his body flashed and he quickly flew down. After a short moment of cultivation, the weapons and storage pouches of the 6 warrior kings and 3 martial grandmasters were all returned to his hands. After packing up everything, Li Lingtian carried Little White and flew away quickly on his flying sword. He did not want to stay here for long after the great battle. After flying for a full 5 hours, Li Lingtian appeared in a small town when the sky was turning white. He found an inn and checked in. Although he did not fight in the battle, it was still thrilling. After witnessing the situation of a martial arts grandmaster level battle, the desire for strength in his heart had reached the peak. In the inn, Xiao Bai was guarding the room. He slept peacefully and felt extremely energetic. One wonder if there are any good treasures among these trash. That inner armor should still be there. He took out his bag of holding and went through the bags of the martial kings. These 6 martial kings represented their sex in the auction, so they had quite a lot of spirit stones on hand. There were actually more than 16 million spirit stones. There were also some Tier 2 and Tier 3 pills, as well as some materials and skills. However, Li Lingtian did not care about these. Although his current cultivation was not high, his taste was very high. Even the items of a martial king were often regarded as trash. In the auction house, he really did have an inner armor of Sun Howrens. Moreover, it was an inner armor of the supreme grade profound armament level. He wanted to use the inner armor and spirit stones to exchange for the purple jade fruit. Li Lingtian smiled as he opened the storage pouch. There were 21 million spiritual stones, an inner armor, a lot of herbs and some inner cores that were over 500 years old, and a lot of skills. Although they were mystic class, they were still impressive. After half an hour, the inventory was completed. He had killed 6 martial kings and 3 martial grandmasters and obtained 37 million spirit stones, countless medicinal herbs and inner cores, as well as many pills and skills. 3 peerless grade profound level weapons, 7 middle grade profound level weapons, and 1 upper grade profound level weapon. More importantly, that inner armor. No wonder. The money from killing and robbing came so quickly. It would be strange if he didn't become a bandit. Li Lingtian looked at the wealth. He had defeated a martial arts grandmaster and martial king in less than 10 minutes and obtained so many spiritual stones and wealth. If this was any other time, he would not have obtained so much wealth. He originally had a net worth of more than 70 million, but he had spent nearly 20 million in the auction house. Now that he had obtained more than 30 million, he had earned more than he had lost. He already had nearly 90 million spiritual stones. Even an ordinary martial emperor might not be able to compare to his wealth. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.